and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours!
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
GMCG. Happy Fridays, my friends. Happy Fridays. It's been a good week, been solid. Markets are feeling good. It's a big shift from like a couple months ago when everything was just dead and sleepy. You know, even though Bitcoin, Solana, all of the above are flat right now, the on-chain markets are actually showing some life, which is exciting. Let you boys file in. We got half an hour till we go live with our first interview, which is Joe from BlockSwap, and then follow that with NetNet Capital, which is a new Robinhood Ponzi primitive. At least that's what I see people calling it. So, you know, we'll see if I'm off on that. But will be cool conversations. Outside of that, let's talk about some stuff going on chain. Markets are looking good. You know, we've talked about macro and where we sit in the grand scheme of things. And here, let me adjust. I will do that one up. Talked about macro. You guys know where I stand. I'm totally in the boat that we are at a bottom for Bitcoin and macro in general. And I think positioning now, DCAing, having an average in around these levels is going to be extremely timely. Extremely timely. I'll even pull up this chart to give you guys some context here while I do this. All right. Yeah, so, I mean, you guys, I've gone through this. I've gone through the Bitcoin thesis and theory and where I think we lie. I'm not going to spend too much time going over it again. But generally, everything lines up. If you look at this chart, everything lines up to the T with where we bottomed in the past and where we should be bottoming now. Of course, we are down on the day, but we've bounced slightly since New York opened with Bitcoin. So, you know, Not a crazy day, not super red. But again, I do think we're at this area where if you're averaging here, you're going to look very good here in a couple months, maybe a year plus. And again, like I'm not in the business of predicting. I'm much more in the business of reacting, and I'm reacting to the price action I see now, right? It's very similar to what we've seen in the past. All my indicators are flashing. And so again, if it goes a little bit lower, I will simply react by buying more. This is not like, I bottom ticked and we're going higher and, that's that. I will play out my average, and the lower we go, the more happy I get because I get Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana for a lot cheaper. For the longest time, was not interested in Ethereum, but with Robinhood, that's almost completely shifted. We're getting a lot of revival in the Ethereum trenches. We get, everyone's saying return to on-chain, return to on-chain, return to mainnet. I love it. I love the return to mainnet because there was no time that I printed more money in my life. Maybe outside of, maybe in NFTs, maybe in AI. They're on Solana, but there was no time like the mainnet, like the Ethereum mainnet days where nothing on Ethereum went down. You'd have these complete LARPs. They'd be LARPs. Again, this is in the early days of AI, real early days of AI. And so people would launch tech, people would launch AI coins, and they'd have these really nice LARPs with big buzzwords, beautiful websites. And it was definitely the same teams farming them over and over again, but they'd run up to, multi tens of millions. And the trades were just fantastic. So that feels like where we're at. GMCG Ave, what's going on? My boy is joining us from YouTube today. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. We got a banger. Nice Friday. Just going to kind of relax, take it slow. Hopefully talk shop. If you guys are looking at anything, let's talk shop. Go back and forth for the next 15, 20 minutes here, 25 minutes actually. And then we'll get our interviews. Got some time after the stream as well today. It's just going to be me. So we'll talk after the stream on what we think. You'll get a lot of Dinero Dom opinions here. For the better, for the worse. But so yeah, that's my general thinking. This is where we're at with Bitcoin. Again, like I'll give the key takeaways rather than going through the whole chart. The bottom signals are flashing, both from a social, technical, and fundamental perspective. Spreads are compressing, right? Look at how small these candles are. Look at how compressed these candles are. This is an indicator of lack of sellers in the market, right? A disinterest in selling a token is these spreads, right? And so now all you have to wait for is when spreads compress. And this is alpha, guys. This is very simple. And you can apply this to on-chain as well. Everyone's busy doing their TA, they're doing their moon signals, they're doing their Fibonacci's. You really don't need that. A lot of this stuff is just fugazi, lagging indicators, not worth watching. I think naked charts are much better. But one thing to watch always is the spreads on candles because it tells you the story. It tells you the full story. When candlesticks start compressing, right, it's very obvious to look at. We look at this chart here, right? Look at the big spreads on these candles. Look how big they are versus down here at the bottom. When candlesticks begin to compress, it's because sellers are acting differently. You have a change of character in the market. In this case, it's a lack of sellers. They don't find value in selling at this level. Now, it might be a lower low to continue lower, to create a lower high that's just going to continue lower. But of course, at that level, when you see price compression, it shows sellers are unwilling to get out at that level. Now, it could change from a fundamental perspective. If, rates get hiked, if fundamentals change, the business numbers come out, the quarterly report is terrible. Like, of course, that could change. When you start to see candles compress, it's a signal that the market is telling you we are uninterested in selling at this level. So what happens there? If it stays sideways, if it stays compressed for a long enough period of time, if it's at a good, valuable level, deep value territory, that's when buyers can start stepping in and actually turning the market. And again, that will lead to a pump, which is when sellers, again, have that control to say, maybe we're interested in selling at these levels. We find this, overvalued or at a premium. We're going to sell into it. Or they're going to say, no, the bottom's actually in. We're going to keep going, right? So that's how like the waves, the ebbs and flows of the market actually look. This stonk chain has me frothing. Need them on the show bad. Dude, cannot get them. Cannot get them on the show. No one can get through to him, actually. This is not just me. I know, I think Solana's tried to reach out to him. I've expounded my resources trying to get these guys on here. I've DM'd them. I've gone in their Telegram. They said they'd reach out to me on Twitter. I've talked to my partners at Solana, talked to other partners that, potentially are working with them. They're using Sunrise. I have every relationship that I would need to make this freaking thing happen, and I can't get them, Ave. But I agree. I want Stonk on the show because they're doing some cool stuff. But get back to what I'm saying on Bitcoin here. So it's very simple. You don't have to have all these indicators. You don't have to have lagging indicators, Fibonacci's, moon cycles, whatever bullshit people are watching nowadays. You just have to literally respond and react to what the candlesticks are telling you. In this case, it was telling us, okay, we're uninterested in selling here. Now is this a premium demand zone that's interesting enough for buyers to step in? And if so, can buyers take control of this? And is the path of least resistance upwards? In this case, we'd gotten the bear market. It was coming up on a halving. Spreads were compressing, and buyers found that the path of least resistance was up and to the right. And so we went up and to the right. That is the exact same thing we're going to look for right now. And we're seeing compression start to happen on these candles. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3, the 4-year cycle is still intact. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why would you fade the 4-year cycle? I know a lot of people don't subscribe to it, but it's clear as day right here. There's no reason to stop. And I'm simply a guy that when I used to day trade every day for a couple proprietary trading firms, my thing was, the trend is your friend. It's cliche, but the trend is your friend. Until the music stops, until it starts telling you no, you keep trading with the trend. And so I'm going to simply trade with the trend until it tells me otherwise. That being said, expansion and contractions are compressing. So for this next cycle, don't expect a 700% move from the bottom like we did this cycle. Don't expect a 2,000% move from the bottom like we did this last cycle. Probably expect that to be nullified. I'm thinking more like, 58% from high to high, and maybe from the lows, more like 300, 400, 250, 300%. Okay. Cycles continue to shorten. Each top is coming a month prior to the previous top in the 4-year cycle. I expect that trend to continue and actually speed up. Bitcoin was the 5th largest asset at its top right over here. Today, it's the 14th. We're seeing a bull run everywhere else except for Bitcoin, and crypto is a lagging asset class. So that's my takeaways. Just wanted to start the stream off there. And then we can talk stocks. Yeah, Abe, I don't either. It's like stonks is genuinely one of the coolest launch pads I've seen in a long time. Let me pull up Stonk. Let me pull up Stonk for you guys so I can give you guys some context. Now, here's what I've been saying on Stonk. Like, we're all tired of launch pads. We're tired of the launch pad wars. There's more launch pad than launches, blah, blah, blah. We've all seen this. We've been here. We talked about this. Stonk was very unique in its launch. It's one of the few launch pads I could look at and say, oh, this isn't just a fork of pump fun. It's very unique in what it does. First to really offer meme coin pairings, first to offer private equity pairings, not the first to offer RWA and equity pairings, but they're offering it via Sunrise, which is really nice one-to-one back, which is, or some of their offerings are Sunrise, like Silver that launched the other day, right? So I was like, wow, very unique launch pad. I'm not one to go and bid the 10th iteration of a launch pad, but I am one to bid the first iteration of a new primitive and a new launch pad. And that's what this is. And by the way, the numbers and volumes are reflecting in that. They made a lot of revenue. They have some really good launches that are successful. And I expect this trend, RWA trend, to continue and persist. I also really like the meme coin pairing because I think meme coins need volatility to survive by like inherent culture, if you will. And I think, pairing meme coins with another meme coin that's going to keep volatility like up at all times is very important. So I really like the primitive. And it does make me sad that they're not responding and that they're anonymous because they have a really cool product, really cool platform. So it sucks that they're anonymous. And it sucks that they're not responding to anybody and coming out and talking publicly because these are signs of bad founders. What do you have to hide? I mean, that's simply put. That said, I'm still a dip buyer on Stonk because I do see what they're doing and I do think their primitive is cool. And I think if you establish yourself as a first mover in a category, you actually don't need to check all the boxes, unfortunately. So although I would like them on the show, probably doesn't happen. But I've expounded my resources trying to get these freaking guys on. I'll tell you that much. But let me know what you want to check out. Happy to look through some stuff. Stonk was definitely on my list. Yeah, let's go. I mean, let's check out their Twitter and see the updates because their revenue is really good right now. Stonk Fun. It's launch on Stonk Fun or something. Yeah. Launch on SF. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. What are some updates? They are good at, I will say they're good on Twitter. They keep updates going. And I think they have a partnership with Radium, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if Radium is backing them or invested into them. Yeah, memes paired with memes. Wow, I just said that. I promise you I didn't look at this tweet before. Memes paired with memes, yeah, they're tweeting and quote tweeting Radium all the time. Clearly, there's some sort of relationship there. I reached out to my people at Radium as well to get me connected, and no bueno. So, Stock Fund has now surpassed $500,000 in revenue, 301,000 of stock buybacks and burns. Yeah, so I mean, 300K. I think that equates to roughly 4.5% of the outstanding supply. Of the full supply, it's all circulating. And so at 9 million, you have 300K in buybacks and burns. That's pretty significant. I mean, I don't know if they've even been out for a month yet, but if you do again, doing price to earnings on a month old protocol is pretty brain dead. But, to give us some sort of reference, I think it makes sense. Nonetheless, this goes back down to like the 7 million range. We get a little bit of a pullback, which I think we can get there. I do think it's probably a pretty good bet with some size, because I want people to remember, guys, although launch pads are annoying, let's not forget Believe, Heavindex, Pump Fund right now up 140% on the month. MetaDAO, all these launch pads ran to hundreds of millions of dollars, billions in some cases. Graphite, right? Graphite was Bonk Fund's launch pad. If you hit a good launch pad, it's going to hundreds of millions of dollars. We haven't seen that in a long time. People forget. I need people to remember what that felt like. So it's possible. We're starting to see ceilings rise. Again, we're starting to see ceilings rise. New primitive for a new launch pad that's doing good volume, spitting out good revenue, and has buybacks attached to it. I would love for this to go, much higher. And I think it does. So I'm a buyer sub 7 mil. That's me letting you guys know. Buyer sub 7 mil on stock. Okay. Very, very cool. And, targeting much higher, pretty much. I mean, if we start creeping up to the $35-40 million range, I will start maybe scaling off just to be responsible. But I do think it could go much higher as ceilings continue to rise. So yeah, Stock.Fund looking really good. Let me actually just pop over here real quick to their website just to see where everything on the ecosystem stands today, because we are having a drop. Is that drop correlated with volumes declining, revenue declining, less launches? Manlet's still at 4 million. Again, first Ansem pairing. This one actually becomes an interesting dip to buy as well. We know Ansem's kind of pushing these. This is like the first real meme coin paired with a meme coin chart. Again, it's really a leverage proxy bet on Ansem if you think Ansem's too high. So I think you get a dip on this. Manlet's one to watch. Of course, shout out Josh and Chill for calling this literally live before it went from like 400K to 6 mil. GTA 6, this is pretty cool. I know people like GTA 6 and the Take-Two narrative. Probably not my bet, but again, chart looks good there. 144K volume. Yeah, volumes are a little low on the 24 hours for sure. Volumes across the board have declined. 3 has started to grow. This is they call it the first utility on Stock Fund. It's really just a Ponzi, right? It takes its volumes and distributes to holders. It's exactly what we're seeing on Robinhood, except on Solana for Stonk. So it could run for that reason, to be completely honest with you. It could run for that reason. This is trading at, 700K market cap with about 240,000. So, I mean, yeah, volume's good. I mean, we're dropping on the majors, right? We are picking it up here and there on some other stuff. I mean, 2.51 million volume on Fartcoin. I guess this is Fart. It's a Fartcoin pairing, I'm assuming. Yeah, look, it's a new primitive and people are liking it. Like, look at this chart. Look at that chart. It's a new primitive and people are liking it. So bullish Stonk.Fund. If you want to leverage bet on Stonk.Fund, you can trade Stonks, which is basically a meme coin of Stonk paired with Stonks, the token we just went over. This is like, if you're putting $1,000 into Stonk, you're going to put like 100, you're going to put like less than 10% into this, right? So 100, 90, 80, whatever. But this is kind of like a leverage bet on that. And I do think it's going to coincide with the movement of Stonk. So really cool primitive. We've talked at large about Stonk, this new platform. I like it. I think I agree, Ave. They have the ability to go mainstream and they've got the first mover advantage. First mover advantage is so important for launch pads. Look at Pump Fund. How many launch pads tried to parallel Pump Fund and failed? Go walk through the graveyard of launch pads. Look at Pawns, right? Pawns, we saw Noxa had the predominant market share on Robinhood. Dropped the ball. Pawns steps in. No one can rival Pawns. Uniswap tried. You had a couple big players try. No one could topple Pawns. First mover is important for launch pads. New primitive like this is pretty cool. So, yeah, I agree. Long on Stonk. Yes, sir. Pure Alpha, GM. Guys, look at this. Shout out my YouTube guys, by the way. Everyone in the chat here is coming from YouTube. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. GM and yeah, excited to get NetNet on. Yeah, excited for NetNet too, because I hear like they have a net asset value that's very close in comparison to their market cap. And so like it's a Ponzi, right? So it's got to outpace emissions at some capacity. So excited to get the scoop there as well. Have you seen Nuit? You can launch meme coins paired with prediction markets portfolio. Yeah, Mr. Jaja. Appreciate you bringing that up. It's actually on my list to talk about. We will cover it today, hopefully prior to our first couple of interviews. So that's stonk fun. That's stonk fun. Delta, talked about this the other day, guys. No surprise this is running. You've seen the Delta thesis. I got my DLMI guys in there. Shout out Meteor, our sponsors of the show. We know delimbing. We know liquidity provision very deeply on the show, right? And Delta's absolutely ripping. It's been taken care of. Meteor has won the decentralized liquidity provision layer on Solana. So now everything that goes through Solana, if any volumes that increase, and if you actually go and read Meteor's quarterly or H1 report, the half one of this year, basically there's a really nice metric in there that shows like 80% of their revenues came from non-Meteora pairings, right? So these are tokens launching on Pump Fund, elsewhere, Radium, so on and so forth. But Meteor is in the unique position to go and provide liquidity for all these assets, despite where it's launched on, whether it's their AMM or not, and make fees. And so I think it goes to show Meteor is a great bet on general volume returning to Solana. And I say that all to preference. Delta feels the same way. Meteor did $120 million profit revenue. Yeah, revenue. They did $1 billion plus revenue last year, but since they distributed 90% to stakers, or not stakers, LPers, it came down to like 120 million dollars revenue. Then they of course had their spend and whatnot. But Meteor made $120 million last year revenue profit on Solana. There's nobody doing this on Robinhood. No one's established doing it on Robinhood, that is, right? So I think we talked to DLM the other day, DLMM, who's competing in it. UI UX looks much better on Delta right now, to be completely frank. So there are people trying in it. I think this team is really good. They come from a DLMing background, coming from Solana. They've built proprietary technology in the past, right? I just read a really good write-up on that. And yeah, I'm excited for what they build. I think if they can capture the audience here, they can really build something cool, because no one's doing it, especially even with stock pairings. These stock pairings have really low liquidity is what I'm seeing. So it'll be interesting to see if they can add liquidity to some of these stock pairings, excuse me. So Delta's looking good. I, of course, called this at the rock bottom, and I've started to bag work it myself a little bit. So Delta looks really good. I think this is an infrastructure bucket that needs to get filled on Robinhood. Everyone wants to provide liquidity. The yields are great if you know what you're doing. So yeah, this looks really good. I expect this to go much, much higher. So shout out Delta, up 74% on the day. Up is a little different, right? Up is also a liquidity layer on Robinhood. They partner with stockbrokers. It's one to watch, in my opinion. I do prefer Delta over Up though, in terms of liquidity provision, because this is a VE33 protocol. So basically, you can provide liquidity. You lock up your liquidity for a duration of time, typically a pretty long duration, which gets into like scary Ponzi territory, where you're trading tokens that have shelf lives that are typically not as long as you're going to lock up your token. So that's kind of how these platforms work. And the APRs are really, really good for stakers, but it's a decentralized protocol where people vote on where to put the money, put the APRs, put the LP rewards. And then it's also mission-based, whereas Delta's not. So it's completely different protocols, so I wouldn't even compare them as competitors. But Up is one to watch just because a stockbroker partnership has driven like 100 million plus volume through it, which is pretty impressive. AI, we talked about the other day. I mean, we couldn't have been more clear on detailing this as a trade the other day. I think we were on a dip, and Nate had put out a tweet being very clear on AI as a token and where it was going. Right. Of course, AI is artificial Inu. It's the first token launched and really pushed by the Long XYZ team. They were the first to do stock pairings really, really well on Robinhood. Of course, Nate's been an operator a long time in the game, so it's nice to see him kind of start seeing success there. But we knew the other day he had been literally doing an announcement saying, we have more, upgrades coming to AI. AI is going to be used for all this stuff. Lo and behold, he puts out a tweet, and I guess I should cover it today as well. Why not? Why not? Well, I'm on topic here. Let me not search long XYZ here without sharing the screen, searching long XYZ before I confirm I'm looking at the right thing. It's where things get wicked. Yeah, but look at what he put out the other day. And Nate tweets a lot, man. Nate tweets a lot. So Josh and I come out and say, look, Nate's teasing AI becoming like the full-blown ecosystem token. If that actually happens, this probably reprices pretty quickly. You know, that is obviously what ended up happening. Okay, here it is. 20 hours ago. Okay, so this would have been like literally right after we got off stream. Told you guys to add this to a watch list or put on notifications. Introducing the AI expansion. Artificial Inu pairs are now live on Long. 50% of fees generated are used to reduce the circulating supply of AI. Okay, so, you know, there's a flywheel. It's become an ecosystem token. Artificial Inu pairs are now live on Long. 50% of the fees generated are going to reduce the circulating supply of AI, right? It's buybacks and burns. Over the past few weeks, AI has established itself as one of the largest sources of NVIDIA liquidity on Robinhood chain, effectively becoming an on-chain source of exposure to NVIDIA. Pairing against AI therefore creates reflexive exposure to NVIDIA with additional upside for growth of the AI network itself. So we talk about this. These new pairings are interesting because you kind of have the price movement of the underlying token, whether that's NVIDIA, whether that's a meme like Ansem, whether that's a private company like Anthropic. You kind of have the price exposure and movement of these. If it's a private company, it's the oracles and like what on-chain saying, so it's a little harder to gauge. But these meme pairings and these stock pairings are interesting because you have that as the underlying price movement, but also you have a premium on the meme, the underlying meme, right? So if the meme's good, if people want general exposure to it, there might be a premium at some point, or there might be a discount at some point. And if you can get a discounted entry on the price movement of the actual underlying asset, it could be pretty interesting. So, you know, these become very interesting, I think, if you have like long-term alignment with whatever the underlying asset is on these. Pairing against AI therefore creates reflexive exposure to NVIDIA with additional upside, blah, blah, blah. Value occurs in two ways. LPs lock. Every new AI pair locks additional AI into permanent liquidity, leverage Long's deep and sustainable liquidity design. Supply reduction, 50% of trading fees are used to remove AI from the market through direct locks and burns. In practice, 1 million of volume through AI pairs can generate $30,000 to $100,000 of newly locked AI. That definitely can add up. 1 million is not an insane amount of volume, to be honest. 5K of additional AI directly locked and burn. Okay, so I mean, there it was. It was. We knew it was coming. It's clear as day. If you caught the trade, if you were quick with it, you are looking good. Yeah, guys, welcome. I did say I wanted to look into Nuit for you, Mr. Yeah. It's gonna have to wait till after our interview. So start number 2 at 1:15 today. They'll probably go to around 2 p.m. Maybe a little before that. So that's when I'll probably look into it because I want to give you a full deep dive and really get that out. So not going to get into that right now before our next interview because we got 4 or 5 minutes before we bring up Joe, who's been on the show before. So it's a nice timely update here. Some other stuff I want to cover. Let's keep going down the list, right? So we talked about AI, we talked about Delta. We didn't cover pawns. What am I doing? We got to give the two leaders some love. So Cash Cat, obviously leader on Robinhood chain. The leading meme will probably continue to lead. I still am under the impression, just like I was at 40 million when I was screaming at you to buy the dip. You guys know I'm not a meme guy, like whatsoever. We are utility focused. We are, token value alignment focused. Meme coins don't really do that, but meme coins are undeniably on every chain runners. And when you get the leaders, they run hard. No different with Cash Cat. Like you would be naive to believe it'd be any different with Cash Cat. It is, followed by Vlad Tenov, CEO of Robinhood. It is soft shielded in their product announcements and product updates. It's the only token they held in the wallet when they showed it on their last call. Very clearly will be the leading meme on Robinhood. If Robinhood persists, it's not crazy to think that Cash Cat goes to $1 billion. We've seen it with all the other leading memes on the other chains. If this is that, it's not out of the picture. So if we get a dip that's deep enough into value territory, I think you get sub 100 mil, you start getting interested in this again. Again, in from 45, around there when we were telling you to buy this dip. And again, it's largely not even a bet on Cash Cat, right? It is a bet on Cash Cat, of course, being the meme and whatever, but it's largely a bet on the Robinhood chain being persistent and sticky. And that's your bet, right? So there's Cash Cat. Pawns is, of course, the launchpad of choice. We talked about the resilience of these launchpads earlier. Pawns, of course, being very resilient. Price to earnings very compressed on this. Of course, 80% is going to buybacks. If you get the dip here on Pawns, sub 0.3, I think Again, you hammer that as the leading launchpad on Robinhood. So had to kind of cover those. Let's see. Also heard Index was getting some juice, but it's down 30% on the day. Yeah, so not so much. Again, this is the only other project I think Vlad Tenev follows, and they're doing some cool indexing pairs. Now, I guess with this, I saw a tweet, from Vertisa. Shout out Vertisa, friend of the show. Bucket is not inspired by the Index Fi. It's basically the index with an orange coat of paint and a Bucket logo. So I'm not exactly sure what Bucket is. I'm not sure if this is a Robinhood product. I think it might be a Robinhood product. Yeah, so it's literally a reskinned product of the Index Fi. So I don't know, wondering how deep the relationship of Index and Robinhood goes here. I mean, when we talked to them, it seemed like they had. Wait, did we talk to Index? Or am I getting that confused? I forget. Nonetheless, yeah, same everything. The funniest part is the perps link already says positions can't be opened yet. And before anyone tries to dress that up as building perps, Lighter does not hand real partnerships to every random copy. Okay, so it's potentially a Lighter partnership. That's the speculation here. Okay, whether that's been debunked because it's down 30% on the day or not, I'm not entirely sure. But obviously would be absolutely massive if it was the case. So not going to overthink that. I have to do some research offline here to get you guys a better answer. But yeah, let's see. Stockbrokers, wow, bouncing nicely. It was on a bit of a dip, but that's just continuing to rip. I mean, hard to recommend you buy it at 78 million fully diluted value, but looking cool. Net we got coming on today. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the general update for Robinhood. As for Solana, I continue to have my position in Meteor, looks good. Continue to have my position in cards, and Pump looks good. But Pump continues to outperform. There's just no dips. 140% on the month. No dips there. Let's see what Credible is doing. Credible, of course, the most recent MetaDAO curated launch. Yeah, still hanging around this level. Nothing crazy. Nothing to update on. Return to mainnet is what everyone keeps calling for, man. If so, and these V4 hooks are sticky, programmable down this range seems compelling. Seems compelling to me. But all right, guys, I digress. We have our next guest coming up here shortly. So let me do some quick housekeeping before we get into that. I want to remind you guys, MTG is live Monday through Friday, every single day of the week, interviewing the best and brightest. And of course, the goal is to make sure we're on the cutting edge all the time to deliver you value. So with that being said, just hit 14K. Not so bad. Let's clap it up, boys. Let's clap it up on 14K. Not so bad. MTG growing, of course, just exponentially. We do have our content lead is out in New York for the last 2 weeks. So it's like been a little rough around the edges, kind of coordinating, getting content out with some of the other team members. But, we're doing it. We're getting it out. So with that being said, here's the deal. We do it every stream, guys. Pull up MCG Live. If you're tuning in from YouTube, hop over from YouTube to X real quick. And if you're on YouTube, just like the stream instance on YouTube. Again, appreciate you guys coming in from there. I'm starting to see a lot more activity, which is cool. But guys, pull up MCG Live on Twitter. This is the tweet for the day. We're going to be talking about, what dips we're buying. We already really covered that. Talked about the bottom signals flashing on macro. We got our interview starting here momentarily with Joe from BlockSwap. Kind of seeing this new primitive to trading. Again, interesting concept. And then following them will be Net Capital, which is like this Ponzi on Robinhood, and just getting an idea for how the net asset value increases with the token, whatever. You're going to do this for me. You're going to you're going to retweet the instance on the first retweet of the day. Wow. Oh, or at least on this one. Let's see. Okay, we got three of the boys retweeting the main instance. So we appreciate you guys. Nonetheless, we're live. We're going to get into it, guys. So let me give a quick little intro on BlockSwap because we had them on a little while ago. And to see they're still pushing hard is always nice. So BlockSwap is doing a new thing, a unique angle of trading, kind of making it more gamified, more fun, where you have this grid and you select blocks where you think the price action of whatever asset is going to go. And if it hits that box and closes in the box, you actually get paid for it. So it's a really cool gamified way to think of trading. And hopefully we can get, here's a little idea here, right? Here's a screen. You can get up, down prices, and you can click on the boxes. There's been a lot of iteration made upon it. The token popped up recently. I'm actually going to close this out real quick so it's not pinging in my face. we've seen a lot of iteration around it. So we got Joe coming up to talk about what's going on here, all the new updates. Before we jump into it, guys, I want to remind you, if you're looking to raise, MetaDAO is going to be your best option for that. $45 million raised today. Absolutely amazing platform. They've been working hard to really bring this ownership model to life. And as a trader, you get true upside and ownership, IP rights, treasury flows, voting power on all these companies. So it's a very cool primitive. We love MetaDAO. We thank them as always for sponsoring. Without further ado, I'm going to bring up my boy Joe, and we'll talk through it. Joe.
Yo, what's going on? How you doing?
We're doing good, man. Welcome back to the show. Every time you come on, like, the camera quality is so crispy and pure. I love it.
Dude, last time I was in a like tin can in the car with that super crappy connection. So this is way better.
Yeah, there we well, I guess okay, maybe not when you come on, but I see your videos and it's always so crispy. It looks good. Did you have like a I don't know, do you have a background in streaming or like creating content or something? Because it's pretty plush.
I just spent a lot of money on a camera lens. That's all.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'd love to see it. We love to have the quality guests on. Joe, how are you doing, man? A lot of people here are maybe unfamiliar with what you've been building. Again, it's really nice to have repeat guests on because in this space, it feels like people come and go with the win pretty much all the time. So it's nice to see someone who's been grinding it out. Maybe you could do us a favor and give us a quick introduction of yourself, who you are, your background, to familiarize everybody in the audience here with who we're talking to here.
Yeah, so my name is Joe Blau. I am the founder of BlockSwap, which is the easiest way to trade in crypto. We support crypto, we support stocks, we support indices, all types of stuff. And my background, I spent a bunch of years working in designing user interfaces, most recently at Uber. And I've also been in crypto since 2013. And really what I try to do is bring a blend of working at a large scale company and doing design for products that ship to 100 million users a week, as well as having deep knowledge in crypto and understanding what some of the design challenges in crypto are. And really what we're trying to do is basically bring trading on chain to everybody.
Yeah, the background's fantastic. Background at Uber. I mean, a lot of people can respect that. You have a background in customer acquisition, excuse me, and bringing people to market. Your goal is making trading accessible to everybody, fun and easy to understand. I don't know, what's kind of something you're thinking about that today? You look at trading, and I guess some people think it's pretty daunting to get into it, especially on chain. You have to go through all these loops to deposit. If we're trading on Robinhood versus we're trading on Solana, you're doing all these bridges and can be complicated. If you even stack on top of options on top of this, it can be very daunting. Maybe I take a step back. What was your vision coming into this, thinking we gotta really dumb this down? Maybe that's the wrong word, but dumb this down, make it easier for everybody and more gamified and entertaining, I guess. Walk me through your thinking.
Yeah, I think, everything comes down to attention, right? And people are having shorter and shorter attention spans. And so the idea is in every single step of the onboarding process or bridging process or whatever, even down to the trading execution process, you want to make the cognitive load, or how much people are thinking about it, as low as possible. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're just trying to reduce the cognitive load, give you clear tickers, clear symbols that clear products that you recognize, and make it super easy for you to do like a vibe trade or a directional bet on those assets.
Yeah, and you know what? It seems like you kind of hit the nail on the head. I'm gonna pop up real quick. Just a metrics number.
Yeah.
Well, we'll pop up the platform here in a second, I think, to kind of bring this idea you're talking about to life for people. But I mean, from a metrics perspective, you found some sort of traction. You hit $1 million in volume today, which is a fantastic milestone. What was the difference? Because that spike is it's absolutely massive.
Yeah, so it came actually on the back of a competition that we're hosting. So we're actually going to be giving away $250,000 of our builder codes to the top 100 traders on the platform. So a few people picked that up, and then they've just been basically running with the narrative, and they've been engaging on the platform. And since we make it easy to trade from anywhere, you can bridge from like Bitcoin, Solana, wherever into the exchange, people have really just jumped on board, and they're basically hopping into this trading competition. And so we're starting to see this flywheel of growth, which is, we've basically grown, like we're on pace to grow like 700% this month.
That's incredible. I think about the platform, and here I'll even pull up again, I guess, live stream you did recently to kind of showcase it a little bit in the background. But I think about the platform and I kind of relate it to something almost like poly markets, where it's this new primitive or like a reskin trading terminal, if you will. It looks a little bit different. It's more engaging. It's maybe fun and interesting. I don't know. Would you say that's like a fair comparison when you think about the platform?
Yeah, there's what you said just hit the nail on the head. Lots of people have given me these, very simple analogies, right? Like one of my friends called it Flappy Perp, or it's like the TikTok of trading. So there's all these like little names of what this new idea is because it's not really codified yet. And so yeah, what you said is the nail on the head. It's like a super simple way to trade, super simple way to analyze what you've got going on, and then make a directional bet on what you think is happening that day, within the market.
Yeah, I love it. I want to actually walk it back a little bit too, and just kind of get back more into that thinking of like, what was the issue here? I mean, like, there's problems and solutions, and the problem clearly to you was, trading needs to be simplified, more fun. Solution, build a more engaging platform. What was like that turning point for you though that really got you, I guess, up out of your seat and building this?
Back when I first started to really actively trade in crypto, it was probably the 2017 bull run. And that was the most fun I ever had. Like trading, talking with my friends, saying like, oh, buy this ticker. The ticker runs up crazy. We were just laughing. I remember even one of my friends vividly just being in his car, going to work, just laughing the whole way, right? Because he was so euphoric about trading these tickers. And one of the things that we're trying to do is bring more accessibility to the trading experience. Sometimes crypto might not be that exciting, but commodities are exciting because the president's talking about something. Or sometimes commodities are not that exciting, but the AI trade is exciting because, stocks are going or ripping because people are trading AI stocks. And so really the idea is bring all of this trading and all of this finance under one simple to use interface that allows anybody to, basically be able to pick this thing up and make a trade.
Do you draw any inspiration from people like Robinhood and Vlad Tenev that really brought like trading to the retail and masses in just like a massive way?
Yeah, I mean, one of the original pitches for this product when I talked about it a year ago was Robinhood meets Guitar Hero. Like that was the initial idea, right? So it's definitely inspired by stuff that Vlad has done. And you can even go back. There's a video from like last year, basically this time, where I said this is Robinhood meets Guitar Hero.
I love that analogy. It's actually so accurate. You pull up the site, which I have right here. It literally looks like Robinhood meets Guitar Hero. Maybe talk me through that. So I'm on the platform, and
Sure.
of course you have
let's actually do this. I got a better idea. If you go on the top right, if you make an account real quick, I'll airdrop you some money and we'll do a live trade right now. So log in, just pick like one of your socials. Maybe if you want to do it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me drop this down. I love this idea. Okay. Let's connect with Google here, and I'll walk you through what I'm going through. So I'm connecting with Google. Grabbing this email. Let's see the onboarding process. Okay. Well, that's it. I connected with Google. It looks like I'm good to go. Okay.
Okay. What I need you to do is click on your profile in the top right, and then click on the accounts at the top.
Okay.
And then that QR code in the top right. I need that Ethereum code. So just send me that. Just click anywhere. You can send it in our chat in the background.
All right, here. I will send it to our Telegram chat. Okay, here we go, boys. I'm about to win this entire 250K. See y'all. Joe just messed up doing this.
Let's go. All right, let me put this in here, and I'm gonna send you $100.
Let's go.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Let's go, hype. Uh-oh. Wait, refresh the screen real quick.
Refresher here.
Yeah, let's just do that.
There it is.
Oh, nope. Click on the top again.
Okay. Like right here.
Technical difficulties. It might be taking a second.
It's all good. Live demos. This is how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Maybe while this goes through, talk to me about this challenge you got going on.
Oh, hold on a second. That's a different. Oh, click on the top left now. Sorry, click on the top left now. Yeah, that's the account that I want. That's 6EB. This one.
Okay.
The one that was up before wasn't the right one.
Okay, well, we can deal with that later then, I guess.
Yeah. We'll
What
get this in.
what
This will be super quick. Let me just send this over.
what
Send.
account was this then that I sent?
Well, I'll look into it later. But
Okay.
we'll be able to retrieve it. Yeah, it's probably your root account.
Okay.
There
Well,
you go.
there it
100
is.
bucks is in.
$100 just hit. Dang.
Okay.
Okay. Appreciate that.
So, yeah, no problem. So the way this works is in the top left, or sorry, actually click on your profile again real quick in the top right. So what we
Yeah.
do is we help users by giving them trading signals. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a section called signals. If you click on that, we have these trending signals. And what these do is these show you which direction the market is basically been recently trending in. So we're just testing out these V2 signals. So click on the V2 model. Yep. And then you'll see in the top left, you see how some signals just popped in on the top left?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's go back and dismiss this page and then click on the top left. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the different assets that we support. So like I mentioned, we support crypto, commodities, stocks, indices. And if you click on the trend V2 on the right-hand side, there's like a little tab right there. Yeah,
Yep.
You'll see things that are trending. You might have to move our heads because we're covering the trends right now.
Okay, let's move our heads over here.
Yeah. So you'll see like Athena is up. You can scroll down a little bit. Gold and stocks are moving. Broadcom is heading down. You've got MicroStrategy heading up. I don't know why, but let's pick Broadcom real quick since that's actually look like it's zipping. And then all you want to do is once you find something that has a trend, you just click the up or down button. So we're going to click down to go with the Broadcom move. And what it did is it just immediately opened up a position. So now you're in a live P&L trade on Broadcom. You're up 20 cents from it's just like a $1 trade. So we're still trading pretty low. We opened up a small position, but we're up. And so you're basically making profit on your trade right now in real time.
Okay. So this is different than what you originally started with your vision where you're clicking on blocks and hitting them.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why we're able to have such a massive volume day is because we transitioned from these low cap, like small positions to basically allowing you to trade almost any size on massive, large scale consensus themes. So you get to trade these big ideas like Broadcom, Intel, Microsoft, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin. And that's how we're able to do so much volume is because we're basically built on top of a perp dex. We're built on top of Hyperliquid.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you've completely kind of changed the product here at this point.
Yeah. We've done a slight pivot just to basically get into a point where we are, more sustainable, profitable, and users are able to make more money with the product the way it's structured now.
Okay, well, that's a fantastic pivot. This looks really clean. Okay, so maybe walk me through what happens next. Let's say I close this, and we can even start sizing up.
Let's say you close it
and
right
playing around a bit
now.
more.
Yeah, you just close it. So basically, it's going to show you that you had a little bit of a gain because you made 4 cents because it was in profit when you closed it. On the left-hand side, you can adjust your position. So this allows you to set the position to be, however much size you want. So if you click on the size, you can say you're doing a $98 trade right now. So you can adjust it based on your risk, right? Maybe you want to do a $50 trade or a $25 trade, or let's say you've got $10,000 in your account and you want to do a $5,000 trade. You can do that here as well.
Okay, here. Well, let's start hammering some 25ers through then. Okay, so we got this. It looks like it's got everything here. So size $25. We're doing 10x leverage on Broadcom. Okay.
Well, it's whatever you're going to click on next.
Okay.
Yeah. So Broadcom is now
okay.
kind of static. So let's go back in the top left and let's go find another asset that we can trade. Let's scroll down. Nothing is up or down. So generally when I hit these trades, I usually do them in the morning, first thing in the morning, market open.
New York
There's
open.
like tons of runners, like everything's going crazy.
Well, let's okay, can we do Bitcoin? Where's Bitcoin?
So go back to all.
Okay.
The Bitcoin's at the top.
Okay,
it just has no trending volume.
Okay. So I mean, these are like very tick by tick basis. How many what signifies a move? How much does Bitcoin have to move for this to actually represent on the chart?
So it doesn't have to move that much. Like you just saw it move, but it's just pretty static right now just because nobody's trading it. So you can see it moving in real time right there, but it doesn't have to move that much for you to see it because we're super zoomed in right now.
How is there ability for me to zoom out at all or, do candlestick charts?
Yeah, so we're trying to really keep the experience super simplified. And the idea is that those signals are designed to kind of give you the history or the volatility and kind of tell you baked in what's going on with the chart. So we use AI to train these predictive models that will actually generate those up arrow, down arrow signals for you. So the idea is that you don't have to actually look at the candles or go look at all this detailed data in service of us making this product extremely simple for people to trade.
Okay, let's actually talk about that because lots of perp exchanges, for example, they make their money off of somebody else, off traders losing. You guys are
Mhm.
kind of in the opposite boat where you're built on top of Hyperliquid. And so you actually can benefit from traders making money and saying, the more money traders make, the more they're on their platform, the more fees you guys kind of generate. Is that kind of your thinking and like directionally, let's create some really good systems that make people money?
Absolutely. Like that's 100% what we're about. We want people to come onto BlockSwap, trade with the signals. We want you to make money because if you make money and you're sustainable, then we make money, and we're charging 5 basis points, but we make money. And then that flywheel of us, I make this joke. If you say flywheel 7 times, a VC shows up, but that flywheel of us helping people make money and have them come back makes it so that people want to keep trading. Like our retention rate for D30, which is like how many people come back after 30 days, is 45%, which is higher than
Wow.
Twitter, right? Like it's like up there with like drugs, basically. So we've been very successful with building a system that people are able to trade, they're able to see success, and they're actually coming back on their own to come trade and trade more.
That's incredible. I mean, 45% is so sticky, like unbelievably sticky. Um, okay, very cool. I mean, so you guys are doing this 250K challenge. You saw $1 million in volume. Was that the first day the challenge went live?
No, the challenge has been live since day one, but I posted on our BlockSwap account, hey, we're doing a season 1 challenge. And it was like one of the hot tweets. And so it just got a lot of activity and volume that day. And then people started buying the BlockSwap token. And then people from buying the BlockSwap token found the site and then they started onboarding and trading.
That's amazing. I mean, the distribution that comes from a token truly can be unbelievable. So talk me through it. Where does this 250K come from? Like, what does this mean exactly? And I have the tweet I can pull up as well. But walk me through this 250K challenge you guys got going on.
Yeah, so the 250K comes from the builder codes. So every time somebody trades on BlockSwap, there's a 5 basis point fee, so 0.05%. And that fee goes into a bucket that is basically for the builder of the product, right? So if you make an interface like Axiom or like Bullpen or FOMO or whatever, those fees go to that company, right? What we do is we're taking the first money in for the first 250,000 that we're going to make us a platform, and we're going to give that to the community, the top 100 traders. And what this does is, second time, starts that flywheel, right? If you're very good at trading on this platform and you're able to basically be the top trader, you're going to get an extra bonus 250K or 50K to then re-trade on the platform and grow your book even bigger. So that's where that 250K comes from. It's
Okay.
revenue to the team that we're going to just give away.
Got you. Okay. So you guys are, I mean, at this point, a little profitable. Talk me through like what do the expenses look like with this company? I mean, I see here, there's been $3,000 in prizes for season 1 already. So clearly, like this trading volume is resulting in you guys getting paid. Of course, you have that 50 basis points fees. How have you seen success so far? Obviously, results have been pretty good. And what is like infrastructure costs on the back end? What are your costs?
So infrastructure costs right now are fairly light because we were able to leverage a lot of the Hyperliquid infrastructure, right? Like you just need a WebSocket connection, and then you're obviously hosting a website. We're paying for Privy, obviously, but that was actually funded by the original BlockSwap token launch that we did about a year ago when we had the initial project. So the infrastructure has actually been fairly light, although we are about to undertake a mission to run our own validator for Hyperliquid. And that's going to be fairly capital intensive. But what that's going to do is it's going to reduce the fees that our traders pay across our entire platform by 40%. And it's going to speed up the trades that our traders are going to be able to place on the platform by 90%. So you're going to see like faster trades, slower, like lower latency as we do both of those things.
Okay, that's a really good update. Talk me through like what the process of obtaining a validator on Hyperliquid looks like?
And it basically costs you 10,000 hype. So that's $570,000 right now. So we're in the process of trying to figure out how to, get that, whether we just get a loan from somebody, which is what we're thinking, right? We basically ask somebody to stake on our behalf. We will run the validators, and then we just pay them like $2,000 a month for them to basically run the validators on our behalf, and then we get access to it. Or, if we can find somebody who wants to do a joint venture and actually want to give us the $500,000 basically to run this ourselves, we're going to basically bootstrap that validator and basically have it deployed in the AWS data center that's next to the Hyperliquid core infrastructure.
Got you. So what's interesting about this is you're actually not like yes, you're spending $500,000 or approximately $500,000 to get a validator, but it's still on your books as an asset, right? It's not necessarily like a expense if you go ahead and buy, the validator yourself.
Yeah, it's not like we're buying like a car or like something that we're just going to spend money on. We're buying this and then we're holding. The hype is going to be staked. So if hype goes up, that asset actually is going to accrue value for sure.
Okay, really interesting. What about the flywheel to the token? You mentioned you launched the token a year ago. We're starting to see revenues come in. You're finding like product market fit. You have this awesome campaign going on, which I also want to talk about campaigns and like user acquisition and all that stuff. That seems to be your where your brain really starts to work. But talk me through like the flywheel for the block swap token that you have.
Yeah, so the token, I'm super bullish on the token. So for the token, we obviously launched it last year, kind of like pre-product. And actually one of the cool things is I had a talk with Prophet from MetaDAO, and he said something that was like a banger quote. He was like, I think it's super important when like companies and teams kind of launch a token early and build that early community around the token, right? Which is obviously like what MetaDAO is all about. And I didn't really think about it in that context with BlockSwap, but that's effectively what we've done. We bootstrapped the community with the BlockSwap token. And then the question is, how do you take that token and then give it some like utility and give it more than just this, like, it's just a meme, right? So we've done a few things with the BlockSwap token that have basically bootstrapped or like pumped up the value proposition of owning the BlockSwap token. So the first thing is that if you have 1 million of the BlockSwap token and you burn it, it gives you this Genesis account. So if you go look at the leaderboard, you'll see some people with these like gold badges by their wallet names. Those are the Genesis holders of BlockSwap. And what that means is that they get access. So if you scroll down a little bit, you see those gold. Yeah,
I see.
So those are Genesis holders. So that means that they have access to 50% discount on the trading fees. So they're not paying 5 basis points, they're paying 2.5 basis points. We're also going to be we also have a subscription service that's coming up for structured positions that we're going to give you. So it'll basically be like, buy Tesla, this is the open, this is the stop loss, this is the take profit. There's a 60% chance that you're going to do well in this position. You just click a button and it just opens it for you. That's going to be free for the Genesis token holders. And so we've already seen over 20 people have burned for these Genesis accounts. So that's value from the BlockSwap token that's been bought and then permanently burned off of the market cap the supply of the BlockSwap pump fund token. So we've already seen that. There's been 20 million BlockSwap tokens burned already. Now, in addition to that, once we cross the $1 million threshold of our revenue. So the first 250,000 we're given to the community. The next 750,000, we're going to use it to shore up our team, build our branding and marketing campaigns out. We're going to use it for engineering, scaling. Obviously, as we're talking about running our own validator, there's going to be infrastructure costs behind that. We're going to the iOS and Android app store. So we're going to need infrastructure to basically bring on and handle that. So that's where that next $750,000 tranche is going. And then above $1 million, we're going to take 5% of our revenues and we're just going to buy and burn the BlockSwap token. So we've got a buy and burn that's going to be powered by the revenues that you're already seeing coming in. You're going to be able to get discounts. You already get a discount on trading today if you have the BlockSwap token, and we're going to have additional discounts. And when we launch the iOS and Android app, which I've already finished, I actually finished them last night. When we launch those, the first people that are going to get access to it are the BlockSwap Genesis token holders.
Yeah, let's actually talk about the iOS and Android app real quick here as well. Again, it seems like a very retail friendly experience that you're pushing for here, which coincides with usage on the iPhone or the Android. You guys interestingly launched with a web terminal first before the mobile apps. Why did you do that?
I think one of the important things about being a founder, this is my second time trying to found a company from the ground up. And one of the first things that I really wanted to do is like get some signal, right? If we build this, is this something that people are going to want to use? Are people going to use the product and then want to come back? And I think with our first iteration with the blocks that were the actual squares that you saw, we had a very hard time with retention. People would trade and they weren't really successful. And because they weren't successful, they weren't coming back, which totally makes sense. With what we've got going on now, we're seeing very strong retention numbers. We're seeing people making their P&Ls are actually like super high. Like if you go, we have an analytics page and you can see the P&Ls for the top like 7 or 8 people. They're up like $500 to $700 off of like $50 to $100 entry prices right now. So because those P&Ls are stronger and people are having success on the platform, they're coming back. And so with that, we now have enough proof that if we launch this as a mobile app, there'll be definitely something exciting happening in terms of us going to the App Store.
Okay.
So what you're seeing right now, this is actually a secondary effect of us not having our own validator, right? It takes a second for you to open up subsequent transactions because it's adjusting your book in the background. So we've seen this issue. See, now it lets you, so the orders are failing because it's trying to readjust your portfolio in the background. So we've seen this happen, and this is one of the reasons why we need to get our own validator.
Okay, got you. Okay, makes sense. I think I took a position on Bitcoin just to kind of let it ride out.
If you want to see your positions, close this out. Click on the left, on the positions button on the left, in left middle.
Left middle.
Yeah.
Is that
right there? And then at the bottom it says positions.
Okay.
So you can see all your open positions. So you're up on your Bitcoin position.
Okay, sweet. And how can I get to that chart again?
If you click on it, just click at the bottom. It'll jump you right there.
Okay. Well, we're going to stay long on Bitcoin here with I think 40x leverage on a $25 position, it looks like, or 20x leverage on a 20. We'll stay on this for the rest of the conversation and see what we do.
Cool.
Okay, so very interesting. We got Android and iPhone coming soon. What do you expect from that?
One of the beautiful things about how iOS and Android work is that they curate and they basically give you trust that the application that you're using is going to be, like not a rug, not a scam. When you're like just on the open internet, you're just trusting the website. You might show up and you're going to say, is this thing a legitimate website? I'm not sure. But with iOS and Android, you have a clear, almost like a cosign from Apple or Google that they've looked through the app that it's not going to drain your wallet or scam you or rug you. And so I think we're going to see an acceleration of the growth that we are already having on the web kind of go into the iOS and Android ecosystem. And really what we're targeting is we want to onboard retail. I think the key thing is like crypto, we need people that are in this industry that are retail users. We're not just looking for, the person who's just like doing TA all day, but we want people that are just having fun. They're coming in, and I want people to have the same experience that I had when I got into crypto, that was like exciting, trading, and having fun. And that's really what we're looking for, is like, let's onboard and scale this thing up to more than just CT, let's say.
Yeah, Joe, and I have an interesting question for you. I think directionally, it seems like more and more we're seeing equities markets act like crypto markets or act like meme coins. We're seeing this financialization or this gambling mentality behind financialization and financial markets. Do you think that continues to grow? I know I do, but do you think that continues to grow? And do you think that's kind of part of the theme and thesis behind what you're building here?
Yeah, I totally think that's the direction that everything is going. People have more access. Crypto has given individuals more access to financial tools that didn't exist in the previous era, where you had access to directly to these capital markets. And as people are getting access to these capital markets, they're able to make decisions and steer the market in a way where these large hedge funds are actually, like think about Wall Street bets, right? You've got regular, retail traders directing and like knocking down some of the biggest institutional firms in New York and it's just a bunch of regular people. And so as people realize that they have the power to trade in these markets, you're totally right. Like you're seeing this like hyper financialization of everything, right? People are trading, eggs. They're trading Pokemon cards. They're trading, Hot Wheels. They're trading dinosaur bones. Like MetaDAO just had Jurassic, right? You could buy fractionalized dinosaurs. They're trading stocks. Everything is being traded. The president is, shilling and trading, access to like have dinners with him. So as this financialization is happening, it's like spreading and everybody's kind of realizing, hey, I don't want to just park my money in, like Vanguard. I want to basically play and engage in the ecosystem, right? In this like tradification of everything. Now we're focused on, I would say, consensus themes. We want to focus on things that are like deep liquidity. So nothing on BlockSwap is listed has below $100,000 or $1 million of volume, right? Because we don't want to be the market. We want people to participate in the market. But when things start to get to that threshold where there's deep liquidity, that's really where we want to play. And that's where we think that there's going to be a lot of excitement and a lot of opportunity.
What does the social aspect of this financial world look like? Obviously, we're seeing FOMO really pop off. We're seeing a lot of these consumer crypto apps pop off where there's a lot of like social signals around it. What's going on in the Pokemon world? Who can I trust? Who do I think is a great trader, and whose theses do I like so I can trade off of them? Again, I made a tweet the other day saying, trading is no different than everything else, right? Simply human nature is to follow somebody that you think is an industry expert or you trust and have faith in. And I believe the same thing is true with finance. And of course, we're seeing this with FOMO. How do you guys look at the social aspect of your platform? Are you looking to make it a more social experience or not so much?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's two sides of this kind of coin that I'm seeing. You've got the like FOMOs and pump funds, and I love their model, right? They have this like follower feed model where you can see what's going on and people are trading. And, like you said, you can follow Ansem and Ansem can make a call and then, he basically spawns, like 10 millionaires, right? In like 1 second. And so that's an awesome model. And that's more of like the social model. The way that we're thinking about it is more of like we want you to be like a superhero trader model, right? Our goal is to provide you these signals and give you information. And it's not necessarily going to come from your friends. It's going to come from the chart. It's going to come from an AI that's reading the chart in real time, which is what we have. And it's basically building a trending model in real time. And then it's going to send you and tell you like, hey, we think that this thing is going up, or we see that this thing is going down. And so you're not going to really have to, like, you obviously already know what's going on with the AI trade. You know that like chips are sold out till next year. You know that all these companies are, having this super volatile asset movement. And you also know that that Korea is like super heavily levered on like all their chip stocks. So you have this information in your back end. We send you like a notification like, hey, it looks like, SanDisk is about to go crazy. Or not SanDisk, that's not Korean. SK Hynix, let's say, right? They're about to go crazy. So you could place a trade based on the vibes and all the information that you already know, and you get to participate in the upside, right? And so really what we're looking at is how do we make you like a superhero trader? It's not necessarily, I would say, on the social side, which is follow your friends and trade with your friends. Now you're still going to post your P&Ls, right? You're still going to be like, yo, I just made 80x, or 80% on this trade in like 35 minutes or whatever. But it's not necessarily like follow your friends. It's more like follow the like a highly tuned signal.
Yeah, let's talk about that. We're seeing, I think, just agentic finance kind of start to bloom, largely with Robinhood, and Vlad saying like this is a main core focus of us. We think this is where the ball's headed. I will say, coming from a finance background, we know that the institutional algorithms, the quant shops that have these deep institutional or AI algorithms that work very well they're restricted, they're gated. Like we don't have access to those. Do you think we're starting to see a shift to where AI is becoming viable to give us really high quality signals and, direct us in our trading?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you say like we don't have access to that. My brother, who's actually helping me kind of devise some of these signals, he was actually a quant at Jump Trading for like 13 years. So he's actually helping me design some of the models that we're actually going to be using as we start rolling stuff out. But to your point, you can use a lot of these AI tools. There's a really cool product called Hummingbot by Michael Fang that's like a tool for doing algorithmic trading and designing your own models and designing your own algorithms. And I think those are going to be super exciting. Now, one thing to remember is that when you're talking about trading, everything that breaks down to time frame, right? Like people that are doing high frequency trading are trading in the same market as like Warren Buffett, but Warren Buffett just has a totally different time frame for when he thinks he's going to buy and sell something, right? So while there might be a huge agentic finance boom, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be trading against the agents. You might be one or two derivations away from where the agents are trading, but you're still going to have volatility and market movement. So I think there's going to be this agentic layer, but I'm never going to count out the human in the loop and the humans trading and the human experience. And we've seen this before, right? In 1997, Gary Kasparov lost to Deep Blue in chess, right? So at that point, you're like, AI is better than humans at chess. Yet today, chess is more popular than ever, right? And why is that happening? Because humans are still the people that are telling the stories with each other, and we're trading in this market at our own speed, even though an AI could beat a human in chess, 99.9% of the time.
This is crazy. You mentioned something that I just need to touch on. You mentioned, I think you said your brother. Your brother was a former quant at Jump Trading, which of course is a famous quant shop, great traders over there. And they have, one of the best institutional grade algorithms, comparable to, all the best like Citadel, Jane Street, so on and so forth. With that being said, you mentioned he's helping you build out some proprietary, probably institutional grade technology. I mean, what does that process look like? I think I want to touch on that because I look forward to seeing how that, works out. How are these internal testings going?
Right now, we're doing a lot of data collection. Obviously, part of building your models is that you have to have solid data. And this also ties into the whole concept of us running our own validator, right? We need to run our own validator so we can collect all the information that we need. And we also need to run our own validator so that way when we submit our orders, they're coming straight from us into the Hyperliquid ecosystem. And they're not going through somebody else, who can like front run us or sandwich attack or all of the traditional things that, market makers or MEV bots try to do in the ecosystem. So, right now we're at the early stages. Like we just started talking about this a few days ago. So we're at the early stages of discussions, but it's basically going to be a data collection exercise, formatting our data. He has his own custom proprietary file format that he's designed and that he uses. And then we're going to convert the data into that. And then we're going to build some of these tools that we will then some of them are going to be running our own book, and then some of them we're going to syndicate through the UI. And they're obviously going to be at different time frames, right? You're not going to be trading against him directly because he's trading right on the wire, but we're looking at higher time frame trades for the customers of BlockSwap.
I think that's really fascinating. I think it's really fascinating. And now with like this AI emergence and AI becoming stronger, if you feed it the right data, train on the right things, I think at some point we get a breakthrough where retail, at least at some level, is going to have access to nearly institutional grade algorithms that will really help our trading. And so I'm excited to see that. I hope you guys are the ones to deliver it. We have to start gearing towards wrap. So as I do that, maybe we start talking towards roadmap. What's next on your agenda? What you guys are most focused on? Give us something just to chew on and look forward to here.
Yeah, so the next big thing, obviously, I think that's coming out is going to be our mobile app, right? We want to get this in front of as many people as possible, and we want people to be able to go to the App Store and just click download. So if you want to try the mobile app or get on the waiting list, if you go to blockswap.app, that will take you to our app landing page, and you can just get on the waiting list there. That's the next big thing on the roadmap. And so we're looking forward to bringing that to a bunch of people, and that's kind of our next big landmark product that we're going to be launching.
I love it. And I said we'd get back to it. We talked about user acquisition. This kind of seems like your specialty, your wheelhouse. How do you go from current user base called a couple, 10, 100 people, whatever it might be, 1,000 people, to tens of thousands, 1 million users logging on every day and trading, just like we see Robinhood being a retail financial app? How do you get there?
Yeah. So we think that the opportunity for on-ramping the next 10 million users is going to be through social media, and specifically through venues like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You're going to have financial traders that are TradFi traders, and we want to partner with some of these creators. They have 10,000 to 100,000 followers, and they've got a small community that's very engaged with what they're doing. They're kind of like the the TradFi version of the crypto communities, right? Where there's a few people, they're following somebody and they've got tools. We believe that the BlockSwap tool is going to allow them to reach a broader audience because of the simplicity and the ease of use, right? So we want to partner with some of these traders that are streaming on these alternate platforms, doing this vertical video content, and partner with them to basically help on ramp. So we're going to do referral codes and all those things, those mechanics to basically on ramp people on. And we've seen this be very successful for existing apps, right? Like FOMO, they're not on ramping people from crypto. They're on ramping people from regular TradFi, right? And the way they're doing it is they're posting videos. I've seen these videos on TikTok and Instagram, right? Where you'll see somebody trading and they're like, oh, what are you doing? And they're on FOMO and they're trading on the app, right? Dude, FOMO was higher than Bank of America on the App Store like a few days ago. Like
their user acquisition has been phenomenal, specifically on Instagram Reels and TikTok. Like
exactly.
Man, I see him pop up and again, my TikTok algorithm, my Instagram algorithm's like not financial at all. And that's pretty much what my Twitter's for. And they'll have thousands of shares. Like the onboarding process is incredible.
Yeah. Here's the one key difference though. There's no FOMO token. So you can't even participate in the upside. Whereas we have a BlockSwap token. Right. And we're already saying we're going to buy and burn it when we scale up to that revenue. FOMO is making $2 million a day, right? So 5% of that goes to if we get to that level, right? 5% of that goes to buy and burn the BlockSwap token, which is live right now. So I think like there's definitely a mechanic, right? You've seen it yourself personally. There's this mechanic where the social media and like media forward marketing is wide open, and all these people that are in this financialization, if we start to link all of these ideas, right? People are getting more into financialization. They're trading on TikTok and Instagram. We start to link these things together. They end up multiplying against each other. And I think we're going to see a wave for this next cycle that's just going to be epic and legendary.
Epic and legendary would be awesome. Joe, we appreciate you coming on. Again, I think Abe said it well in the chat. Joe has stayed in motion. Damn great interview. It has been a good interview. And man, I respect a dev that can stick around, number one, and then pivot and realize, okay, maybe this first iteration of our product wasn't the end game. Let's pivot to something else, and starting to find product market fit success. We see, a few $1,000s already in rewards up, and that's coming straight from volumes on the platform. So you're doing it. You found product market fit. Now it's time to hammer it home. So Joe, we appreciate you coming on today and just breaking it down for us.
Yeah, thanks. So, BlockSwap is definitely the easiest place to trade. I appreciate you guys having me on. We're actually going to do an airdrop. So if you reply in this thread with a screenshot of your public wallet, we'll airdrop the first 20 people. We're going to airdrop them $50. So if you log in, you create your account, we're going to airdrop you and you'll be able to trade on the platform for free. We want to get new wallets on board, and we'll get you started and we'll just bootstrap you up. And I'll do the airdrop on Sunday night. That way, Monday morning, market open, you'll be live. But follow us at BlockSwap. That's BLOXWAP on X. It's also our Telegram channel. There's a bunch of people in there that are posting P&Ls and screenshots. And follow me also. I post a lot of more like degenerate stuff. It's not as like corporate friendly, but you can follow me on X as well. I'm at Joe Blau. And yeah, and also check out the BlockSwap token. It's on Solana. You can go see it. It's a pump fund token. And I'm at Joe Blau. So we'd love to if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. I'm always open to answer questions and follow up with anybody.
Joe, we appreciate you here. One thing before we leave, let's take a trade. I'm going to keep this trade open for the rest of the stream. I'll close at the end of the stream. All right, cool. Let's pick a trade. Let's write it out together. What do you want to do?
Core Weave. Let's do Core Weave.
Click okay, let's go to Core Weave. So
yeah, Core Weave. You can also type in the search thing and filter it down. See, yeah, there we go.
Okay. So we got a 10x position on Core Weave, $25 right now.
Let's go. Oh, it's not
Wait
opening.
For it to fill.
Wait, refresh this. Refresh the page real quick.
Got you.
Let's see.
We'll see where this ends. Yeah, this is trending up nicely. I'd love to catch a tip here.
I was waiting for your balance to load.
Yeah.
What's going on?
We do have that
there we
Bitcoin
go.
position.
All right, click.
We're starting to see a lot of trends.
Yeah, so this is part of the delays. What is it saying? Open order. Hold on. This is not good.
Insufficient balance for token transfer.
Wait, close out. Go to your position. your Bitcoin position. Click on that one on the left. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, click there and go to positions. Down.
Okay.
And click on that Bitcoin. This is a $50 position here. Yeah, you should have a balance. You should have margin.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not opening.
Here, let's try.
Click on the left. Let's just try 20. Try like $10. Let's just see if we can get this going.
Okay.
Nope, still broken. All right, I got to figure out what this is because you definitely have money.
Let me try to okay, let me try to close this position, this Bitcoin position fully.
I was just gonna send you more money.
Don't need more money. I don't think that's the issue here. Let's see.
There we go.
Okay, we're in. All right, Core Weave. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe I have more money now, so I'll even. Can I hammer a second one? Like, for example, I'm in a $10 position. Maybe I won 20 in. Is there a way to hammer a second?
Oh, do you mean like stacking?
Yeah.
No, we're trying to right now it's just one position per asset. You mean like another?
All right, Joe. Well, we
like
got to bounce. We're
trade?
gonna monitor this. We'll see where it ends up at the end.
Okay, cool. Thanks
yeah,
for
if I
having me
want to
on.
get in here, we're on a dip, maybe. Yeah. All right, Joe. Thanks so much. Peace, buddy. All right, boys. We got our next guest already in the waiting room. Mr. AI Dunlap and Vlad Tenev also sitting in the waiting room. Coming. No, just kidding, of course. But that was a great interview. I'm really glad to see Joe sticking through it. And again, like we like to see a founder that pivots and iterates on his vision, right? He sees where the numbers are at, what's going wrong, why is it not sticky? I think that's what he said. Like we saw traders come on, it was just not very sticky. So they pivoted to something, and now they're seeing retention go to 45%. Users going back on month over month, I think it was, which is higher than Twitter, he mentioned. So really cool stuff. I think Joe's cooking. He seems like a great founder prototype. So we absolutely love to see it. And he mentioned like 20, he's going to do 20 airdrops. I'm not sure if that's airdrop to get you started to trade on the platform or if it's airdrop to token. But I will make sure we post a C to A, this call to action after the stream for those who didn't catch it. But super cool. If you guys did catch it and you're live right now, it seems like you can go under and comment on the live instance. I believe it is. Let's do the live instance. Leave a comment. Just let Joe know you saw the stream and you want the airdrop. You said he'll be doing a giveaway for the first 20, I believe it was. So pretty cool stuff. Nonetheless, guys, we do have to bounce to our next one. So let me just clean up my back end real quick, get net all squared away, and we'll jump straight into it. That was a good interview, though. Now, I read a great article on NetNet from Kyoto the other day. Okay, shout out Kyoto. This is my quant. Not severely underfollowed account. I want to keep it that way. I want to gatekeep him. Oh, he's at 5,000 now. He was at like 2,000 not too long ago. But Kyoto's a quant. He's part of Optimus, which is a great community, and he always puts out great threads. He doesn't tweet a lot, but when he does, it's typically a banger. And so Kyoto tweets, I'm paying attention. He's got me on board. I'm looking at NetNet, and he calls it, I think he calls it how it is, right? He calls it a Ponzi. But there's a lot of interesting mechanisms to it, and there is this utility flywheel that brings up the net asset value. And I guess the idea is if you can enter as close to net asset value as possible and outpace emissions, we have a really good trade here. I want to get the full breakdown. I'm probably not doing it enough justice there in my introduction, but that's why we got Mr. AI Dunlap in the waiting room to talk through it. Rumor has it, I'm seeing this pop up in my Twitter pro to the left here. Massive net rumor circulating that Robinhood founder Vlad Tenev will be making an appearance alongside NetNet in the next 15 minutes on MCG Live. So we'll see about that, guys. But without further ado, AI Dunlap's about to come up from NetNet Capital. I want to remind you, this episode is presented by MetaDAO, the best place to raise. If you're looking to raise money, they've already had $45 million raised and hundreds of millions of dollars committed to these projects. As a trader, you actually get ownership, IP rights, voting, decision-making powers. So it's a very, very cool model. MetaDAO has done a lot of heavy lifting and legwork to get to this point today. We're really starting to see breakout products launch on their app, like Credible with their most recent raise. He's doing $3.5 million annualized already. So really, really cool stuff there. That being said, Mr. AI Dunlap, welcome to the show. We're excited to dig into NetNet Capital, the CEO.
Super excited to be here. What's going on, guys?
Not too much. We're just hanging out, man. I want the full breakdown of NetNet. I've been seeing this on my page. Again, shout out Kyoto. I just pulled up that tweet. This guy is someone like I follow very closely. If he puts out a tweet, I'm paying attention. So you've got my attention right now, and I'm really excited to get into it. Mr. Dunlap, can you start us at the top? Your background, who you are, how you got into this. We see Robinhood just popping off right now. And, it seemed like you jumped at that opportunity to get a product out there. So you want to talk us through your background real quick?
Yeah, for sure. So, I've been in the crypto space building for just over 8.5 years. And all roads sort of led me to this project where I'm at right now. Rialto actually put out a little article that they wrote a little backstory about me, but I worked at Dapper Labs, built the first version of NBA Top Shot, decided to go on chain and just go full like pseudo non building. During like the peak of FTX back in the day, I was market making, doing a lot of automated trading and just finding edges in the market. I've sort of seen the space shift through different metas, different tides, and sort of noticed themes among them. Mainly that the upside has to be evident. It has to be obvious in hindsight, and it has to be fun for the crypto native audience. That's like the big one for me. And so I've really thought about this a lot. I've thought about RWAs coming on chain. I saw Robinhood kind of popping up, and all the tides sort of led me to building this product. And yeah, I'm super excited to tell you more about it. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about sort of the mechanism of the protocol, and we can dive into that for sure. I think one thing our community will definitely tell you is that, like, the team is cracked, the dev is cracked, whatever. But I definitely want to talk about sort of this notion of what crypto building should be, what it looks like, why it's great for people who are thinking about building in the space to come build in the space. And then ultimately, I want to talk about RW play, why I think we're just sort of scratching the surface of what on-chain RWAs mean, why Net is uniquely positioned to sort of win this space. And we can definitely talk about like protocol stats, how some of the things we built so far are going and all that stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited.
No, I'm excited to dive into this. You said there's a lot of misconceptions around this, and like, again, our show is literally here for founders to come on and break down their project top to bottom and let people decide for themselves on, whether or not, what they think about it. But I want to talk real quick, even before, just like touch on your background. You mentioned you kind of built the first iteration of NBA Top Shot. Man, that brings back memories. NBA Top Shots would really kicked off like me getting into NFTs back in the day. I didn't buy or mint punks. I didn't buy or mint Bored Apes. But NFT Top Shots were the first time I got on my mobile app and I was ripping packs open to get these NBA players. Like, that's really what onboarded me into NFTs. I'd been in crypto for a while before that. But I mean, talk me through that experience and like seeing the vision of NFTs and Top Shot before it really like meaningfully came to life.
Yeah. So honestly, like the ethos of what we did there is definitely sitting in NetNet as well. I am a big believer in building consumer crypto apps. I think that the space has sort of got into this really like boring place where the only consumer apps people care about are trading apps. It's like, those are the ones that have market share. Those are the ones people talk about. No one really believes that you can actually build a cool on-chain product that's unique, different, fun, and also gives people exposure to like unparalleled upside. And so I really wanted to bring that to fruition with this project. And so there's almost like two layers. Like, first off, I'll just say about Top Shot, like really cool experience, obviously. Seeing a crypto app grow from zero to like however many billions was awesome. And I learned a lot through that. And I've tried to sort of like take that with me everywhere I go. And yeah, I mean, we can talk more about Top Shot, but I mean,
NBA Top Shot is consumer crypto. Like, it's, I mean, we even see things like Collector Crypt right now, which are doing a really good job meaningfully like onboarding generally decent amount of users. It's still very low in comparison to something like Top Shot, but like this was consumer crypto. I mean, this was lots of consumers coming on, people that weren't familiar with crypto and getting involved in this way. And so like that ethos is very important and it's very fun. And I think you're right. A lot of crypto feels kind of stale. We have QR payments, we have stable coins, we have these things that are really cool innovations, but it is like we've been dragging, I think, on the fun side of it, which I think ties into your RWA play thesis that you have, and I want to get into that in a second. But really interesting that you have this outlook on consumer crypto being big. How does that tie into NetNet and what you're building here?
Yeah, for sure. So there's sort of like two levels to NetNet. The first level is the protocol, which is immutable. So like, I don't actually own the protocol. Nobody owns the protocol. The NetNet holders own the protocol. And People say it's an Ohm fork. I would say that it's an Ohm improvement. Like, we took a lot of what we saw Ohm do, implemented stuff to make it better, and you can kind of see just the speed at which the treasury is growing, the way that liquidity works. There's a lot of different improvements. We can dive into them too, but it seems to be working so far, at least, which is really encouraging. And the thing about Ohm, again, that like I really liked back in the day was that it was fun, and that again ties into a lot of what we're doing here. It's about fun. It's about, we're all on our computers for the entire day. Why do we need to just like stare at charts when we, in 2021, like in the DeFi summer or whatever, there was actually like interesting thesis playing out. There was cool new products being built. It sort of like divulged into just full meme coin trading, which I totally get. And so trying to like find that lane between, hey, like this thing does have a high APY. Whoa, the treasury is growing really fast. Wait, there's all these like games built on top of NetNet as well. Like, what's going on here? Why are there so many RWAs that are entering the treasury? How's that working? So yeah, that's sort of where I'll start. But the reason that it works for consumer crypto is that I believe that if we win in some of these games that we're building, that I'm sure we'll dive into, we can have that sort of like NBA Top Shot moment where we reach a non-crypto native audience. And then if we're able to do that, that only helps the net holders, that only helps the treasury, because every game that we've built so far has one of two goals. Either number one, directly drive net buying pressure. Number two, directly drive more assets into the treasury. And typically it's a combination of the two. And so that's like our core idea, is that we want to build to make the price of net go up. We want to build to make the number in the treasury go up. And if we're able to have the number in the treasury go up at a rate such which it outpaces emissions, then we're going to be winners here. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, Kyoto might be onto something. This is really interesting. So background in Top Shot, so you got the consumer box checked, and then also you did market making in crypto. So you have like this financial side also checked. Let's get into the protocol. Let's walk through top to bottom. I don't know where you want to start, but what is NetNet and how does this work? It seems like there are a few different facets to it that make it
so you can scroll up here. So if you want to go to the like reports page, that's probably a good place to start, I guess. Okay. So for those who don't know, this is a rebasing token. What that means is that there's an underlying treasury that backs the token. This is different from like a lot of the more recent tokens we've become used to. Anyone can at any time take their token, come to the treasury, and pull out what the treasury values their token at any time. And so that's basically like where the protocol starts. If the price diverges from the RFV, so it goes higher, the protocol will mint more tokens to people who stake. There's 3 epochs per day. And so you continually gain more tokens. Those gains compound as long as you're staking, and your balance goes up as the price sits above RFV. And so the idea is that supply goes up, supply goes up, supply goes up. Eventually, RFV and market cap converge, and then that is a place where like the reserve currency sort of idea of Ohm would play out. But that's not necessarily our goal here at this time. Our goal is to have treasury actually outpace growth in market cap. And so if we're able to do that, people will naturally price in a healthy multiple to the treasury. And that's actually a healthy place for our protocol to sit. Like, we've gone from 0 to almost $700,000 in the treasury in under a month. And so
that's insane.
It's a really like unique mechanism for how we're sort of getting more funds into the treasury. But right now we believe we're at a healthy state, and we honestly think the multiple is quite low, like just based on the way we've been growing. But that just is on the team to sort of prove out that we can continue this growth at the pace that we've been doing it. And so that's like the basis of the protocols. There's also a bond mechanism. So one of the ways that the treasury grows is that you can go to, if you scroll up here, I'll just show you.
Scroll up. Okay.
Yeah, if you go to the invest tab again, if you click on bond.
Bond.
Sorry, scroll down. Yeah.
Right here.
So you can either buy net at market, or you can bond your USDG. You'll receive your net linearly vesting over 2 days, and you'll get a discount for market. And now, why is this good for the protocol? Because when you bond, the USDG that normally would be going into the AMM is going directly into our treasury. So it's direct revenue for the treasury, direct more RFV for all the holders. And that's why you're getting a discount as well, is because we want to encourage people to bond. It's actually better for the treasury if the bonds continue to sell out. And I have some numbers over here.
Yeah. Okay. So
So,
talk
yeah,
me
yeah.
through this.
The bonding.
Yeah. So talk me through this a little bit more. So I can put $1,000 up. It's going to basically give
Yep.
me a discount. So it's even better than buying off the open market. Now,
Yep.
am I locking up my net tokens in doing this, or like what's
So
what's yeah.
you will receive, so right now you'll receive 8 net in 48 hours from when you bond. But it vests linearly. So you just sort of every block, you'll get more net, and you can take it out and stake it, or take it out and, do whatever you want with it, basically play our games, etc. As it vests, but you'll get the full 8 in 48 hours. And the reason for the vesting is that we're giving you a big discount to market. If we were to just give you the 8 net at this discount right now, like people would just set up bonding sniping bots that would just like dump the whole stack in market and capture the spread. So that's why it vests is the basic idea.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess my thinking on that or concern would be, over the vesting period, why would someone not just continuously dump to just get this 12% margin, for eternity, indefinitely?
So there's a bond cap per day. There's only a finite amount of net that is issued via bonds every single day. And so far, we've seen 90% of the bond volume immediately get staked after. And so people who are the users who are bonding are not looking to capture the spread. That's because the volatility in the AMM pair is really high. So we can touch on that too, just on like liquidity, how we're thinking about liquidity. Like I said, that's a big part of my background, so I can definitely talk you through that. But yeah, so far we're seeing this sort of work as planned.
Okay, so before any kind of counteracting points are made to counteract the emission, this would indicate that there's about 12.6% emission daily at this rate before we even start talking about counteraction.
Oh no, sorry. So the emission rate, it's about if you scroll up. So yeah, the distribution rate is 0.45% every 8 hours to stakers, and about 80% of the tokens are staked right now.
Okay, so slightly below 1.5% then.
Yeah, but times 0.8, so it's like 1% roughly.
Okay. Explain that to me because I'm not really tracking.
Oh yeah, so the only people who earn emissions are those who stake, and 80% of the supply is staked. And so the distribution rate is 0.8 times just under 1.5.
Got you. And I'm not sure if I'm jumping the gun here, but if I go ahead and stake my net or my net, am I under a lock for a specific amount of time?
No, there's no lock. There's no lock.
Okay. That's interesting.
You have to stake through the next epoch in order to start earning emissions. Like you can't there's no stake sniping. Like you can't stake, earn the emission, unstake, and then sell. Like that's not allowed.
Okay. Makes a ton of sense. All right, I'm not sure where I stopped you at.
So yeah, wait, just on the bonds again. So we built one of the first products that we built when we first started this was called Real World Bonds. So you can see this here. So when you pay $1,000 of USDG, we use Rialto to buy $1,000 of SpaceX, and that SpaceX goes right into our RWA sleeve. So that's how one of the ways the Treasury is sort of stacking RWAs right now. And we're already a top 5 holder on all of Robinhood chain for all the assets that we hold. And just based on some of the metrics that I've run, in the next 3 weeks, we'll be the #1 holder of RWAs on the chain, just in total. So that's pretty encouraging. We'll probably get there in under 2 months. We'll be the biggest RWA holder on the entire chain.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts to think about. I mean, we even saw yesterday Robinhood added 100 additional tokenized stocks to their offerings. How do you choose the assets? I mean, you've chosen SpaceX. Are you bullish on SpaceX specifically? Are people voting on what asset to add to the treasury? How's that work?
No, it's based primarily on liquidity. So we just want the most liquid pairs, the most traded pairs, because we're pushing a lot of volume through them. And I just want to shout out Rialto really quick. If you're looking to build in the space, they've been a great partner to us for handling our RWA transactions.
Yeah, what they're doing is really cool. Actually, would love to get them on the show sometime. Maybe talk us through like that relationship there.
Yeah, for sure. They just have a really good building, like an SDK building program for basically, well, I mean, we'll touch more on the products, but we're building some really weird, interesting new like RWA gaming solutions, I guess. And what they've built has really enabled us to do that really easily. So yeah.
Got you. Yeah, I'm excited to get into those. I just want to fully understand the protocol, and then we'll jump.
Yeah,
into
yeah. If you have any questions about this that I'm not explaining clearly, like please let me know, because one piece of feedback we get is that it's a little bit confusing, and I totally get that. There's a lot going on here, so just let me know.
Yeah, I think I'm straight so far. We covered the bond, we covered the stake.
Yeah.
Obviously, soon to get into like how we can offset some of this emission or what you guys do to counteract it there. But anything I'm missing from like the initial protocol level?
No, I think that, yeah, bond and stake. The only other thing is that one of the big changes that we've made from Ohm, and I think one of the misses on their part is that the number one thing that our users do with our protocol across our games, everything, is trade the tokens. And so it would have been a naive proposition to not have our protocol realize any upside from the trading. And so we do have a trading levy that helps stack our treasury as well. If you go to the reports page, we have you can see the USDG we've earned. A big chunk of the USDG is from trading volume, and then another big chunk is from, if you scroll down here, you'll see more granular data. Here, keep going down. Yeah, there you go. So you can see we have 525K of USDG in the treasury right now. A big chunk of that comes from bonding, and then a big chunk of that also comes from trading volume that we take a fee on. And so that goes, when you trade net, you're basically paying the treasury to trade. Had Ohm done that, their treasury would have been 100x. And so, yeah. And so, this was one of the first core theses that we had, is that in crypto, trading usually is the product. I think consumer crypto, there's a lot to be built. But at the end of the day, the people who are on chain, especially with these early stage, we're really early stage, right? Our circulating market cap's under $1 million. The trading is the product for a lot of people, which I get. And so I didn't want to be super naive and think that some of these games we built from the first day would out volumize our trading volume. That just wouldn't happen. So
no, absolutely fair assumption to make, clearly. But so fees are also coming from trading volume. What do those fees look like? What's the taxes on that?
Yeah, there's a 5% buy sell fee.
Okay. But
when you buy the token, the logic works out to, you are paying an extra 5% to the net that you earn, but that 5% is going directly into the treasury. And so you're almost increasing what your token is worth through the fee. And so through that logic, you aren't actually paying a traditional FOT, where it just goes to some shitcoin dev who's just going to rug you. This is going directly into your token's backing. And again, this token cannot go to zero. I just want that to be really clear. Every other token can go to zero. The team can rug, whales can dump. Our token cannot go to zero. There is a bottom number where it could, in theory, bottom out. But because of the way that our treasury has been growing, it would be really foolish if it did bottom out, because the market tends to be pretty rational about this and seeing the upside and seeing the growth. So yeah, just want to say that again.
Yeah, no, really interesting. The 5.5 tax is interesting. Also, kind of thinking back to bonding, is there any tax on bonding, or
no? So that's part of the discount, is that you don't pay the tax when you bond.
Okay, is that included in the
yes,
12%?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah. So the protocol has a cap at 7.5% bond discount, and then we just show the 5% as well, because you're not paying the fee.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. Last thing I think I want to cover on protocol level, and we can talk a little bit more about what you're building out of it, is emissions. How much is emitted per day? How can we measure emissions? Just give me the whole scoop on that.
Yeah, so the distribution rate is right there. Every 8 hours, all the stakers earn an additional 0.45% on top of what they've staked. And so it's pretty fairly normal. I think the total supply is roughly around 30,000. So there's an extra 300 or so tokens getting emitted per day right now going to stakers. The good news is that the majority of the supply is staked. I'm not seeing a lot of people who are just selling emissions daily. And the pair right now is, and a lot of people will tell you about this, I'm sure, if you start asking people about it, it is illiquid. And that is by design. So the idea is that we want people to TWAP in and TWAP out, especially at size, especially since we've gone from 0 to where we're at in a month. I understand that a lot of the people who are early have probably seen a nice return. And we don't want to encourage people to realize that return in like one clip, basically. So we're seeing a lot of people TU up in, we're seeing a lot of people TU up out, and that's kind of a healthy place for the protocol with a lot of volatility, because every trade we earn more fees, and more fees means the backing goes up. So the backing's gone from 0 to $17 in the last month, backing per net. And so we're just going to continue to see that compound and grow. And then as far as like how I'm thinking about emissions, a lot of the games that we're building, like we can talk about WinNet, which is our no loss lottery. They're designed to have you use your net in a staked manner to do something with it, similar to Loopback. So it's kind of like a token sink, encouraging people to hold on to their tokens, to see more upside by holding their tokens, etc. So yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned the treasury backing per one net is 17. What's the current price of net?
If you scroll up, it should be at the top. Oh, here. Or go to the invest page. Sorry, I think it's around like 130, something like that. Yeah, 130.
Okay. So Oh, I see. Yeah, right here. Backed by 13 USDG per net.
So that's the USDG backing, including RWAs. It's around 17.
Okay, so around 17. And what's the goal here then? To get these numbers as close as possible?
The only way that would happen would be if basically we stop shipping stuff, which we're not going to do. Because I think 10x is a healthy multiple right now. I think it could even be higher. Also, if you look at the circulating supply versus the market cap, it's a lot closer. And so the market is pricing in like the growth that we've had over the month, which makes sense. Like it wouldn't make sense to trade at cash because we're continuing to grow. And so they're pricing in the upside. They're pricing in where we could head. Also, this is crypto where high upside is sort of like expected for these things, for these tokens, if you're able to win. So yeah, I think that it's fair. I think it could be higher. I think it probably should be higher. And so we're just going to continue to ship. We can talk about a lot of the data around our games, which hasn't really been shared with the community yet, but things are looking really good on that front.
Okay, I want to hear about that. I think we've kind of got the protocol out of the way here. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, assuming this is like $17 more so backing per net, we're not even trading at close to a 7x multiple on, the earnings here. So with that being said, talk to me about growth. You mentioned growth has been pretty good. You think if you start factoring in growth, actually the multiple is quite compressed here. Walk me through some of these games and how you, I guess, grow the underlying treasury.
Yeah, so, there's some teams that are doing some interesting stuff with RWAs on chain, but usually the way that looks is, hey, Trading Tax buys RWAs and gives it to people, something like that. And the RWA is set up on chain to just be something that you hold. I think that, I've read a lot and talked to Robinhood people a lot, and the big differentiator here is composability. So, and that's sort of like what got me into crypto in the first place, is like, hey, you can take this asset and you can actually do a lot of interesting, cool things with it that you've never been able to do before, especially when it comes to RWAs. So like one of the products we built is a literal Game Boy game where you can pick an RWA like a Pokemon and then use it later in the game as part of winning. And so we first sort of built a lot of the DeFi rails. Like I basically built all of DeFi Summer in the first 2 weeks, baked into the net treasury. And then from there, we've sort of been going into this RW play meta where we're building cool games like Coin Flip, for example. You literally flip a coin where your stake is based on Coinbase stock and you get paid in Coinbase stock. So trying to find new innovative ways to get people to use RWAs, whether it's playing with them, gambling with them, all this different stuff. And let's dive into one of these products. That seems like a good place to start for sure.
Yeah, no. So I definitely want to talk about this. Maybe even before we get into the products, I want to get your thesis on RWA play, because I remember that's something you said you want to talk about, and I think that was a good ground to stand on. So what is RWA? What is RW play? And what does this mean? What's your kind of thesis on this in general?
Yeah, so I just touched on it a little bit. My thesis in general is that the next meta is unfolding here. If you just look at the growth of on-chain RWAs, it's growing at an exponential rate, and crypto users have not yet uncovered their way to realize the upside of this growth. And I believe that the way that happens is through consumer apps built around RWAs. And at NetNet, that is pretty much what we're diving fully into is, hey, Can you build fun things to do with your RWAs? Can you play with them? It fits really well alongside like what happened with NFTs, where you sort of saw like, hey, everyone is moving online. What's your online persona? It became obvious in hindsight that like that would happen eventually, that you had to have a way to basically like verify like, hey, this is who I am on chain. This is a cool asset that I'm holding on chain. This is an art piece that I'm holding on chain. And I see this as sort of like a similar meta shift, where you're seeing now, hey, everyone is bringing their RWAs into crypto on chain, but no one has uncovered the consumer upside play yet. And so that's sort of what we're diving into here. Can you gamify them? Can you actually do things with your RWAs? Every other project that I've seen is like holding them or giving them out. That's not really going to be like a huge meta shift. If I wanted to hold Apple stock, like,
I'll just hold
hey,
Apple
guess
stock.
what? I'll just hold Apple stock. Yeah, like why would I go to Robinhood chain to hold Apple stock? It makes absolutely no
Why
sense.
would I hold a token that gets trading fees and then just emits slow drip emissions to me over like, yeah, I don't like that meta.
You don't like the meta?
I don't like the meta. I don't like the meta that I'm holding a token and it's slow dripping me like, yeah, an RWA asset. Why would I just not buy the asset?
Oh yeah,
at
yeah,
that point?
exactly, yeah. And so I think what the actual meta is, and it fits so well with everything else, is like, what am I going to do with my RWAs? So the first thing we did was like lending. We did no loss lottery. We did a trading desk. We're building all these games. We built a gotcha game, a Game Boy game, a coin flip game. We like forked Space Invaders and built a Space X Invaders game. And so I'm leaning really heavily into this because I think that people call you crazy in the beginning. Like, hey, no one's going to care to like use their RWAs in interesting ways. I think that's not true. Like, I think there's a lot that can be done with RWAs, and we're just scratching the surface. And so, and yeah, I know we'll talk more about like the shipping speed in a second, but that's sort of the high level idea of RW play.
Yeah, I mean, but it seems like it's a pretty clear trend here that we're seeing just like the gamification, gambleification of the financial world from traditional stocks like SK Hynix IPOing and doing 50% swings on $1 trillion asset to, prediction markets to you name it. Where do you kind of foresee the direction of like this gamified gambling layer for finance going? And of course, like you have stuff like coin flip where maybe I have an Apple stock. I want to make my Apple. I want to get 2 shares rather than my 1 share. I do a coin flip, right? Where do you see that directionally heading?
Yeah, so I think it's I'm sure you know Jez on Twitter. Like he wrote a really good article about the hyper gambleization of society a while back. That sort of shaped my core thesis, like high level, of where I think the world's heading economically. And you're seeing it play out, like you said, with prediction markets, with sort of like hyper liquid trading apps. Like everyone is hyper gambling and seeing that as the only way that they can sort of achieve the next level of financial success. Where before it was like, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder at this CPA firm I work at, and that's how I'm going to like be able to build a nice life for my family. Now it's like, hey, I have to hit 100x on Hyperliquid by the end of next week, or like I'm fucked. So sorry for cursing, but that's sort of like what I really believe is like happening. It's a little bit dark and a little bit morose to like think that that's where the world is heading, but I think it's naive to not realize that's where it's heading and to try to like carve out your way to build into that way, especially as someone who's like building financial tools. I think that like holding Apple stock is great. I don't think that like the next generation of people who are entering the stock market are just going to be like Apple stockholders. They want to realize like high upside gains on them. And that's why people come to crypto in the first place. Like that's why people trade memes. They want to realize like they want to gamble, they want to realize gains. And so we're trying to like tie all these worlds together, like memes, RWAs, DeFi, crypto protocols, bring it all together under NetNet. And I think that could win. And I'm also working on some stuff to abstract this out a little bit. So I'm really hoping to encourage more builders to build under this meta. I'm working on, I have an article that I've written about technically how we're building sort of like these games on chain, because everything that we build, by the way, it's like a core thesis of the protocol, is immutable and fully on chain. And so I'm trying to build some APIs, SDKs, that sort of thing to help more people build some cool RW play games, because that will just like help us win even more.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, look, it's not like you can invest in Apple like you did back in the day, or buy a house or buy gold and silver. The only way to kind of get that upside exposure is using leverage or hyper gambling, because all the companies are staying private till they hit $1 trillion valuation. It's like, how do you get the upside on that? So I do tend to agree with, with this general thesis. So maybe you want to walk me through some of the products you guys have to,
Yeah, let's do it.
Tie a bow on this thesis that you gave, that we're kind of getting this RW play meta. It's gonna emerge. We're gonna see more hyper financialized gambling. So you build these games. Talk to me about what they are, and also even before that, how do you balance? We see things like Collector Crypt, who Collector Crypt just hit $1 billion in volume. Insanely profitable, successful consumer crypto app. Although they have really only a core group of like 1,000 daily users. 1,000 daily users, they're power users, and they drive a lot of volume through the platform. How do you kind of balance something like NBA Top Shot, where we had retail opening $25 packs, maybe a little like lower ticket items, versus a Collector Crypt where we have 1,000 power users, but they're spending millions and millions of dollars in plays all day? How do you like balance? What's the fine line, or is it both? Do you build one for both?
Yeah, I think that like I said, I really believe this is the meta shift, and the way that I'm thinking about it is just put our head down, build as absolutely viciously as we can. Like, we built all this in under 3 weeks, because the first week we didn't we were just focused on the protocol. All these games came out in the last 3 weeks, and hunt for product market fit, hunt for users, sort of see where those pockets emerge of people who want to play these games, and then drive really hard into those users. So I don't have a strong thesis of like which user group I want to target harder. I just want to build interesting games, see who's playing them, see what those users look like and want, and then really cater to that group as we continue to evolve.
Yeah, and one more thing before we hop in the games. How do you decide where that user is? You mentioned, look, we want to build games for the users, like product market fit, build for the people. How do you determine what that app is or what that game is?
Yeah, so our first cohort of users is, and this is sort of also why I'll just say again, building on chain is great, having a token is great. The first cohort of people who use our games are going to be our token holders. It's just the way that it is. They're the most invested in what we're building, and they're going to try out everything we build. So I've been getting a ton of great feedback. Like, we just had a big holder, someone who's active in our Telegram, win $10,000 in the Game Boy game. They immediately messaged me and were like, hey, I'm just going to TWAP this back into net. And I was like, okay, that's super cool. But like, they're all sending me feedback about what they like and don't like about the games. From there, we're iterating and then hoping to find a path to escape sort of the net holders and build a game that actually, or build a product that can actually like have this escape velocity, get to the regular consumer. And also just like shout out Privy. They've been a great partner as well. Like, a lot of these games, it's pretty normal now, but back in the day, like, you couldn't imagine just like signing up with email and just like not having to worry about gas and playing. So yeah, shout out Privy real quick.
Yeah, Privy's been an awesome development for consumer crypto. Talk me through some of the games you have. In the meantime, I'm gonna log in with a wallet to some of these games so we can see them. Okay. Maybe just walk me through a few of these.
Yeah, so the newer games that we've built have been sort of hosted under our like play.net.capital site. Coin flip is literally a coin flip. It's provably fair. Like, the randomization's all on chain. You literally flip a coin with Coinbase stock, and then if you win, you double or quadruple just based on how many coins you flip, your stake, and earn Coinbase stock in return. So it's a super fun game. We've seen already, let me just pull up these stats really quick. Yeah. So we've already had 50 players do over 250 flips. They've processed over $5,000 in volume on the coin flip game that came out middle of last week. So some good early traction. The most recent game we built was the SpaceX Invaders one. It's kind of like a Plinko game. Again, we've had over 300 plays of that game. We've done over $5,000 of volume. That was our most recent game the other day. So yeah, no, we're starting to see some good traction there. And so then
I want to ask about this, because you said this is like a Plinko, the coin flip. I mean, it's pretty much, it boils down to gambling. And we see gambling sites are very lucrative and profitable.
Yep.
People typically gamble with, their cold hard USD. I mean, I guess it boils down to a moral thing, whatever you guys want to take. Let's take the morals out of it for a second.
Okay.
Casinos, very profitable, but there's no casino that's letting you gamble with your assets outside of like USD or whatever, Bitcoin, whatever some of these crypto casinos take. You would be the first to kind of create a casino around, you can use your Apple stock, you can use whatever it might be. Is that kind of the thinking behind this? Because both of the games you mentioned are pretty much purely gambling.
Yeah, so I'd say this is like a category of game we're building. Crypto users also like to gamble. It's just like a natural overlap. So wanted to cater more to that user. And then yes, this is the first place where you can use SpaceX to bet on a Plinko game, and then earn SpaceX as your reward. So it's kind of like a unique offering in that way. Fits the RW play thesis. And SpaceX Invaders and Coin Flip are both like of that similar nature. These are sort of like the newer games that we've built. We can talk more about like Climb Inc., which is the Game Boy game that someone just won $10,000 on. That's another super cool one that's had a lot of traction.
And a quick question, like what do you think would happen if Robinhood has massive distribution, massive user base?
Yep.
Like, do you think it's feasible for Robinhood to add basically a native casino for people to do something similar to this with their assets? Like, what would the flack be on that? Is it possible for them to do it? They might not ever do it, which is why it kind of leaves the door wide open for someone like you. But I don't know. What would be the feedback if they did something like this?
Yeah, so let me see. I can't say much about like what's going on there right now, but there will be more to say later, is what I can say right now.
Got you.
Sorry for not having a good answer, but there's a lot of conversations happening. So I'll just keep that under like wraps for now. That's
okay. We can keep it under wraps then, but like I guess the general thesis of like offering this to a massive retail user base, maybe not even taking your product out of it, but like offering generally financialized gambling to a massive user base. Is this like something you could foresee happening in the future?
Definitely. I mean, so some of the games that we're looking to build right now, outside of sort of like the casino light ones, outside of the Game Boy game, are more around financial products that already exist that are effectively gambling under the hood, like far outdated futures that Robinhood already offers. Let's just say that. And so if you think about it, they're already built an app that's catering to a gambling audience, but they're thinking through the gambling is that, oh, I'm a trader, not a gambler, right? I think those two things are converging, where the trader and the gambler are sort of becoming one. And you can go into your Robin app right now and place a trade that's very unlikely to win and give you a very high return if it does win. But because it's under this derivatives hood, it's viewed as sort of like a sophisticated trade versus a gamble. So like you could, and I think that is, that's something that we're thinking a lot about right now and building towards, are those types of offerings that Robinhood currently offers, and gamifying them a little bit more. And
it seems like the line's becoming more blurry over time, like increasingly more blurry. And at some point we might just have no line, where it's like, is it gambling or is it trading? And
that's like the core thesis, right? Is like they're in a way that like, is Hyperliquid a trading app or a gambling app? Like what would you say?
For most people, the numbers would say it's a gambling app.
Exactly. Yeah. Like most traders lose, right? And so I agree with you. I think that the line is super blurry, and it just hasn't been done explicitly in this like consumer friendly way before. And so if you think about like out of the money, long dated futures on Robinhood that you could buy right now, presenting them to a more casual passive audience that has no idea how to like trade derivatives or options, but still giving them like, hey, guess what? You could make like 1,000x your money by doing something. That's something that we're really excited about. The early games have sort of just been like getting our feet wet, proving out this like RW play thesis before we sort of dive into like what the next phase of this is going to be, which is more aligned with stuff that Robinhood already offers.
Yeah, this is actually really interesting because it feels like you're saying the quiet part out loud, right? Hyperliquid makes its money from people getting liquidated and losing, just like a casino. So it's like, what is the difference really? At what level do we classify something as an investment vehicle versus like just degenerate gambling? So it's a really interesting like question that you're bringing up here, and like you really are saying the quiet part out loud, I think, with like the direction you're headed in.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I fully agree with you. I think that people who work in the space and understand the consumers really well would also lean to agree with you, what you just said. And
you're pushing it.
Pushing the boundaries. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot that needs to be built. Like, I think that someone, especially this new cohort of people who are entering the financial system, is more likely to flip a coin than they are to buy an out of the money Coinbase future. Like, I think that's just true. They grew up like addicted to their phones, want quick dopamine hits. And so I think that Robinhood wants to build products that cater to that new financial user as well. I don't know.
The
Maybe I've said too much, but I
TikTokification
don't know.
of
Exactly.
of finance.
Yep, exactly. And so what does that look like? What does that mean, especially when it comes to these assets? And, you know, the next cohort of users is going to buy Apple stock, but what does that actually look like? They're not going to be interested in earning 4% per year. Like, they're just not. So can you build a game that bakes in some of these existing financial products to give them higher upside? I mean, I think so.
Okay, can you build that game, and then can you give long-term holders and believers a piece of that flow, right? A piece of that, volume that comes through. Okay, and that's essentially net, right?
And that's the core thesis. Every product we build gives either market buys net or pumps more money into our treasury.
It's a fascinating conversation to have, really. Okay, but talk me through some more of the products, and then products that you were working on, or future products, if you want to touch on anything there.
Yeah, for sure. So the Game Boy game is a 10-level game. It's like a legitimate game where you have to crawl through an office building. If you open this right now, I don't know if you connect your wallet already, but if you open the game, it's pretty cool. So
I'll connect real quick.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, talk me through what this is.
And then so this was sort of like this was always like a dream that I had when we started. This was like, can you build like a legitimate game that makes you buy RWAs as part of winning the game? And then the reason for you to do that is that there's a big prize dangling for you at the end if you're able to win. But if you lose, all of your RWAs go to our treasury. So that's sort of like the core mechanic, is that you have to buy RWAs to progress. There's fights and battles and different game mechanisms that will try to get you to lose. And if you do lose, your RWAs go to our treasury. If you're able to get to the end, you could win like $10,000, which someone just did.
That is, this is streamer heaven. Like, there are all these streamers that play these games. I think there's a one game that's similar to this where if you fall, you lose or whatever. But like, man, I could see the headlines of people saying, playing Climb Boy to win $10,000 or to win $100,000 or whatever. And like, I could see some amazing competition around that. Okay.
So we're thinking about UGC. We're thinking about UGC and streamers. And again, these are consumer crypto products. Like, we want to get a more normcore audience into our games, but before we sort of invest harder in that, we want to like prove out our game a little bit more, and then we'll sort of dive fully in, because we want it to be really good before people start playing it more heavily. But yeah, so this game,
I was gonna log in, but I didn't get logged in quick enough.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you wanna try again, I mean, it's cool to see the game. Like,
I do want to see the game. I would love to connect to Rainbow Wallet. Is it only MetaMask you guys have?
Oh yeah, it's probably just your injected. It's probably MetaMask. Yeah.
All right, I'll just connect with a MetaMask account then.
Sweet. Yeah, if you haven't seen this yet, I'm biased, but I think it's super cool.
And so you're building all these games?
Yes.
What does it take to build a game like this? Obviously with AI, it's become a little easier, but yeah, talk me through the process there.
Yeah, so I'll just talk about our like dev process in general, and I can touch on the game too. But probably like 3-4 years ago, there was this meta shift where it was like, hey, a landing page and a white paper and a token and like promise of building was sort of like what the meta became, and that was sort of like this weird like utility. Where nothing actually got built, but people were buying the token early because of the promise of what could be built, if that makes sense. And I think that meta is officially dead, because the cost of building has become so low. So if you're like investing in a crypto product and they're promising they're going to build stuff a long time from now, or haven't built some of the stuff they've told you they're going to build, that's a huge red flag. Teams that are like hungry and are actually have a goal to win should be shipping at the speed that we're shipping at. And the way we've been shipping is just like go, building cool, innovative new products, and going from there. So if you press start on the actual Game Boy, it'll start the game, which you can see.
Am I? Oh, right here. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't have any RWAs in this wallet. Is that okay, or?
Yeah, that should be fine. You could at least like walk around once it gets going.
All right.
You have to press Z to progress the dialogue. Yeah, there you go. So like, you should be able to use your arrow keys to walk around here. Check out what's going on.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there you go.
okay. And so again, the goal of this game is you progress through all the levels of the office, and if at the very end you can potentially win a big grand prize. Who
Yes.
calculates that prize? And
So
yeah,
like
how's
you
it
can see,
grow?
there's a jackpot here. Part of the in-game purchases go towards like continuing to refill the jackpot, and then yeah, that's sort of like the way that it grows is basically how it goes. So treasury and jackpot.
Okay.
And if you
and
walk
the
up to
last
someone, you
person-
can press Z. If you like walk up to this guy down here, you can press Z to talk to him.
press Z. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Welcome to the mailroom. Capital management. Up there, it costs money to be somebody. Down here, it only costs time. Punch the clock, then take the elevator. Go and be an analyst.
So like the idea is that each level you get like promoted, and then eventually the last level is you're like the chairman of the company.
And the chairman.
So yeah,
gets
the way that we built this, like I spent a lot of time sort of like planning out the levels, planning out like the mechanic of the game mechanism for each level. It's a very simple game, but the idea was like, can you get people to buy RWAs in a Game Boy game? And then the time card puncher is at the top right. If you go up to the top right, you should be able to.
Oh, so I could actually I could buy RWAs here and start playing.
Yeah. You will have to eventually, but right now it's just sort of showing you like how to walk around. This is like an intro level. You just like refilled your health, and now you can take the elevator up.
Okay, let's see. And how do you think about making like more complex games? I mean, there's so many.
Yeah, so I've been working like throughout this whole process. I'm like, hey, could I build like an MMORPG that's sort of like net themed? That's taking me a little bit longer, so I'm on the fence of whether I actually want to see it through or not. But that's kind of been the way that I think about it is what's actually going to have, and that's sort of why like I'm building an MMORPG that has like WoW aesthetics, and then I'm also building like a coin flip game. I'm trying to find like what the right audience is that's going to have escape velocity, and again, that will just be net positive for net holders.
Got you. So is this your biggest focus right now, is building out these games, or what's like number one on your docket?
I would say that number one on my docket right now is a blend between building these games, and a lot of my time has just been conversations with interested parties, I'll say. So that's been a lot of my time right now. But yeah, building, and I'm a solo founder, by the way, so I'm doing everything. I don't know what I'm spending my time on. I'm just sort of like not sleeping and building. So
wearing a bit of all the hats. Well, I want to talk to that. I mean, so it seems like a big part of this is your BD, and you're really looking to take this and use other people's distribution in some sort of capacity. Can you walk me through the strategy there? Obviously, you can't maybe get into a lot of the conversations you're having. But like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So I don't think that winning on distribution is something that like I'll just be able to do on my own from here. I think that it could mean integrating our games in places where people hold a lot of equities, building new games that integrate assets that people hold on sort of like financial platforms that have more distribution, and making holding the high level idea is like, can you make holding a one share of Apple fun? That's sort of like how I'm high level thinking about it and thinking about distribution and a lot of these integrators.
Got you. And in terms of that, like, what does expansion plans and next step look like? Obviously, as the protocol grows, you guys need money to fund this. You're a solo dev, like you mentioned. You're doing a lot of BD work, but like, let's say these games become more complex, just like any casino. You have all these new casino games. You have Crossy Road. You have whatever. How, like, you can't build all these out by yourself. How do you go and make that happen?
Well, first off, I would push back a little bit on the thing you just said, which is like, I can't build them all on my own. So far, I built everything on my own. And so I'm just going to keep shipping, keep proving to the community that like when they're investing in NetNet, they're investing in me, and they're investing in someone who like knows how to build in the space. So that's the first part. The second part is that like, yes, we do need more capital. And that's something that we're thinking about right now. And so we'll probably have more on that soon.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking about that. Like, what would that look like for a permissionless platform like this? Does that entail a raise? Does that entail a vote? Maybe
Yeah.
pulling from the treasury? Okay, it would be a raise.
So again, and I'll say this to people who are watching, like, we cannot touch the treasury. The only way that money can move out of the treasury is if someone takes one net and burns it and redeems their RFE from the treasury. That's the only way. So Ohm had this issue, which is that wasn't the case from day one. And what ends up happening is that the community continues to push you to use the treasury for something other than what it's there to do, which is to back the token, right? Like they could be like, hey, like you should just like market buy 500K of net right now. That's really good for us. And so I cannot touch the treasury. Nobody except the net holders can do anything with the treasury. The way that it looks, getting more capital is we have products that are earning revenue in a short amount of time and basically showing to a potential investor who maybe wants to OTC a big stack of net or wants to market buy a big stack of net while also investing in the team, sort of like what that means.
Got it. You mentioned a lot of your users right now are token holders themselves.
Yes.
How are you seeing the stickiness with these apps? Are you seeing a lot of stickiness? Are you seeing a lot of retention? Are you seeing a growing user base? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's been growing pretty rapidly. Like the first week of our games being live, we probably had around, this was 2.5 weeks ago. We probably had like $12,000 of volume. We're up to $140,000 of total volume throughout our portfolio of games.
Wow.
And so we're seeing it grow pretty rapidly. This is outside of like the token and the trading tax and the treasury growth. This is just like pure gameplay, people putting money into these games. And so that's been flying off the charts. I think that if you were to like look at us as just game builders and we were able to like go to investors and say, hey, you know, we've had $140,000 pushed into these games in the last 2.5 weeks. Like that's pretty bullish. I think if you can expect the growth to continue, you can sort of see how me and potential investors are thinking about this. And the other thing is that like I'm well capitalized. Like I wouldn't do anything that wouldn't directly benefit the net holders. Like I see all the time, like you see teams take money. It does nothing for people that hold the tokens. Like I would never do that. And we're set up well where like a raise could go into the treasury, right? That directly helps the holders. The raise could go to just like a standing TWAP of market buys. That directly helps the holders. But I would never just like take money for like a separate entity, let's call it like the team or the business, and then leave the holders kind of in the dust of the raise. Like that would never happen. I just want to be really clear about that.
No, it's definitely a good point to make. I want to talk to you about how you see like fees and growing this pie here. Are you guys looking at this more like a trading terminal where you're taking trading fees from every transaction, or is this more of a house edge kind of situation where each game has a probability of the house having, you know, a couple percentage edge on it, which adds up over time, and you know, you have house edge?
We're trying. We're trying both. I don't know what the right answer is there, so I'm trying both, seeing which one is better for the treasury, seeing which one gets more users in. So the coin flip game and the SpaceX game, one of them has a fee on top, one of them has a slight house edge, and we're kind of seeing like what that means for our users who play the games.
Okay, very interesting. Last thing I really want to cover before we kind of start wrapping here and get into anything you want to make sure to touch on, but like, what does this relationship with Robinhood look like? You obviously have experience. You've been building for a long time. You're a seasoned vet, you could say. How deep does this relationship with Robinhood go?
It again, like I don't want to talk too much about that right now specifically, but what I'll say is that, you know, I've built on other chains before, and they're doing a really good job of, in my opinion at least, not doing a lot, but still doing a lot, if that makes sense. So like when people first started building a Robinhood chain, it was like, hey, like, is Vlad going to follow the project? That was like bullish, right? I think they realized that probably wasn't the best strategy. They don't really want to like pick winners, but they want to be super supportive of what you're building in ways that are maybe like a little less public, because they don't want to be like, hey, like we're just going to directly like have like a bajillion people buy your token because Vlad follows you, which I totally respect and get. That said, the relationship is really good, and we're excited to be building on Robinhood Chain. We're excited to be the #1 RWA holder on Robinhood Chain, and these are things they obviously notice and are excited about. So I'll just leave it at that, I think. for now.
No, I think that's a great answer. So I appreciate you giving me that much. Let's talk about roadmap as we kind of put a bow on this whole thing. What comes
Yeah.
next? I
Yeah.
guess actually even I'm jumping the gun a little bit before we get into roadmap. So talk to me about what has to happen for Treasury to go up and inflation slash emission to stay relatively flat and Treasury to go up. Like what has to happen for this Ponzi is what some people are calling it to
Yep.
really thrive for a long period of time, be successful. You also mentioned like by design, the token can never go to zero. Can you kind of tie those two questions I have into one answer where it's like token can never go to zero and like how do we meaningfully grow this treasury and reduce emissions as much as possible?
Yeah, for sure. I think that in order for that to happen, the treasury just has to continue to keep growing and outpacing the way that so like a lot of people are a little bit shocked that like, hey, why is the token like so low right now compared to like what we're building? And my answer would be that like the way that we're growing, if you look at like the weekly chart, it's super healthy. Like the market is not overpacing the treasury growth, which is good. Like we want the treasury to outpace the market growth, the market cap growth, I'd say, because that will eventually have these things converge, emissions come down, and the backing continues to go up. However, if you're pricing in a company, like traditionally, you would always have a multiple to earnings, right? You'd always have a multiple to cash or revenue. So we should always have that as well, as long as we're able to prove that like we're able to keep growing the treasury. And then also like the market will tell us like if we start trading at 100x treasury and we're like we're there, then that means that people expect our treasury to continue to keep growing at a rapid pace, or one of these games to continue to like keep pumping a bunch of money into our treasury. So the market's never wrong, right? The market's only right. And so I'm really like trusting in that belief, and the protocol's working as intended so far. I'm super excited by how it's gone. Like no one thought that an ohm fork could last more than a few days. There's like 100 ohm forks in 2021. We're now going into our 5th week. And all we've seen so far is just growth on every single metric. So super, super bullish, super excited to be building here. And like I've told the community, I care about this a lot. Like this is what I'm doing. And I'm investing like all my time into this. And they've shown me enough trust to deliver for them. And like, we're just going to keep going and keep trying. And I won't do any like bullshit over promising, under delivering. Like I'll just keep shipping. So yeah, let's get after it.
Yeah, at the very start of this interview, you mentioned it would be naive to think to not include trading fees in this mechanism because we know we're going to get a lot of trading fees at the start. That's probably going to be the largest driver, and it has been to date. Obviously, we know with a lot of these things, with tokens in general, trading fees slow down at some point. So at some point, we need to make sure that the games outpace the trading fees and kind of make up for that lost ground. I think we should all just factor in naturally. How do you do that? Just keep shipping, keep building?
Yeah, keep shipping. So like the ultimate goal is that the treasury, the major revenue source of the treasury comes from a product that we've built. That's like my dream scenario. That's my goal. And so, yeah, we keep shipping, we keep building, we keep finding ways to reach new users. That's something that I'm like, you asked about what's next. Right now, the majority of game players are also token holders, which is great. I want to find that next cohort of user who maybe doesn't even know about the token, but thinks the game is cool. And that's sort of how we win. Like, going back to NBA Top Shot, can you get a non-crypto user to do something on a crypto rail? That's always the ultimate dream for me. That's why I like building in crypto. And so, yeah, let's just keep going.
Anything else you want to touch on in terms of roadmap? I do agree. Like this, and user acquisition has become so much more seamless with Privy and some of the technology now. Like you can have people fully log on, pay with credit card, not even know they're using crypto on the back end. What kind of comes next? Yeah, if you have any more to touch on the roadmap that you want to keep the people, get the people informed about, I would love to close out there.
Yeah. So, I messaged you about this before the call, but I don't believe in roadmaps. If you have an idea, you should build it. And so, I do have like a rough list of things I'm working on right now, but there is no roadmap. There's just building. And I think that flip is sort of where everything is headed. Like if you're a team that has a long roadmap of unbuilt stuff, I think you really need to look in the mirror and ask yourself why. Like you should just be building and seeing what sticks. That's like one of my core theses, and I'm sort of demonstrating it with NetNet. And the other thing that I'll say is that I just really want to thank the community. I I'm sure there's a lot of people who hold net that are like listening to this. We are all in this together. Like the treasury is all of ours. I'm a net holder just like you are, and we're just going to win. It's going to take all of us to win, but I do believe that we will win. So let's just keep it rolling.
Dunlap, I think that's a great way to end it. We appreciate you coming on today.
Of course, man. Great chatting. Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Talk soon. Peace.
Peace.
All right, boys. That was a good one. I told you guys, Coyote, he's got, shout out Coyote. He's got some good calls. Really interesting. Yeah, I think directionally Dunlap's pretty much spot on. Like we're seeing the lines blur between sophisticated trading and degenerate gambling. It's converging very close to being one and the same thing. Obviously, I do believe there is an edge in trading if done right. Whereas gambling's the opposite, but I think the thesis is spot on. So it's really interesting to see. I think the biggest determining factor of this is going to be, really, can they white label this product, right? Who can they plug this in? I mean, yeah, they can do distribution on their own. They can go on TikTok, go on Instagram, find users like you mentioned, do it like Top Shot did, just all on their own through their platform, or they could white label it and go through people like Robinhood, people like Hyperliquid, people that already have this distribution of these traders that may want to leverage up on the positions they hold in some capacity, whether that's gaming, gambling, whatever it might be. And I think that's the secret sauce, right? Can Mr. Dunlap from that net go and make those relationships, really go hard on the BD side? Of course, it's a chicken and egg problem too. Like you need to have great games and great technology to do this. But it seems like he has these, these conversations ongoing right now with teams like Robinhood and others. So I don't know, pretty interesting. Of course, it also comes back to like, really, if you're a smart investor, all you're going to do here for NetNet is watch the growth. It's all on chain, right? So watch the growth. How fast are we growing? And anytime you get a discount on like a discount or compression of growth earnings to price, like that's when you can buy. I mean, everyone says buy low, sell high, but like just don't buy premium. Just don't buy extreme exuberant premiums. Simply buy the dips, because of course, there is this emission schedule. You want to make sure that emission to treasury growth is kind of growing at an even pace. At some point, obviously, you're going to see premium and discounts on the token. And very simply put, you buy the discounts as a participant looking at these markets. So really interesting stuff. I think there's a lot to it, which is why we took over an hour to digest it and break it down here on stream. Like there's a lot of different facets to it, starting with what is the protocol at the ground level? What does emissions look like? What does the deflationary aspect look like? And then, furthermore, like what does this turn into and evolve into? Right now, it's largely trading fees going towards this underlying net asset value. Whereas in the future, hopefully that becomes a gamification of things. So really cool. I do think AI Dunlap, the founder, kind of has the wherewithal to make this happen. He's got the background on Top Shot consumer crypto. This is largely a consumer crypto product is what it is, the end goal at least. So that's pretty cool stuff. I don't know. Not much more to add outside of that, boys. Hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, appreciate the comment, Joker. It was a good interview, really interesting. And I think just having the general conversation about consumer crypto was an interesting one, and like the gamification of finance. So really cool, guys. I'm going to go over some stuff on chain. We'll talk through. If y'all got something you want to cover, let's do it. Now's a chance. I'll probably hop on, hang around for, as long as you guys want me to, but it's a Friday, so we'll keep it short and sweet. But yeah, let's go back on chain, see what we're doing. I'm not sure if you guys have been seeing EtherFi, bro, but everyone's talking about oh, also just a side note, let's talk about this real quick. I put out this tweet the other day, and I want to know your thoughts, guys. There we go. I want to know your thoughts. I said, humans are a creature of habit. People will blindly follow who they trust and perceive as industry experts. That's why social trading will likely continue to grow. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of FOMO for the reasons that I feel like it's lots of noise and very little signal, right? Whereas MTG tries to be lots of signal, very little noise. And with that said, I said humans are creatures of habit. People will blindly follow who they trust and perceive as industry experts. It's why social trading will likely continue to grow. Your influence is valuable. You should be paid for it. Building the infrastructure that can attribute volume and the associated fees to a creator will be priceless. The challenge will be getting the fragmented and greedy terminals to agree to give you up their precious margins to the people that bringing them the volume. Who's building this, and how can I help deliver it to the market? I don't know where we're at, but I want to have this conversation. because I think we had this direction where social trading is clearly growing, just like anything, right? If you're a gym bro and you work out a lot, people are going to want to ask you for advice. What kind of creatine should I take? What kind of pre-workout should I take? What kind of exercise should I do? What kind of routine should I do? Are you selling a course? Right? People look up to people they trust and industry experts for signal in everything in the world, not just trading. Trading, of course, will follow suit and continue to do the same thing, which is why social trading was so obvious in hindsight and will continue to only grow. With that said, though, we're getting this fragmentation. We have Pump Fund over on this side. We have FOMO over on this side. We have GG. We have Karma. We have all these different trading terminals. I want to be able to put out one tweet and have it go to all these trading terminals. And if I have meaningful volume being driven because of that tweet or that take, I should receive those flows. I should receive some of those fees. And so I think this is the direction we're getting to, where it's not so much social signal where, hey, Dom said something, you should blindly trust him. I think it's going to be, can you deliver a really good thesis and a really good reason for me to buy? If so, you should get a cut of that, of those fees that we generate, right? Very simply put, right now, there's not a lot of platforms like the FOMOs and Pump Funds, I don't believe, are giving rewards to thesis creators, whereas GG and Karma, are, and Dapital, and there are apps that are doing this. I think this will be the norm. I think it's only a matter of time before people start demanding that they're paid for their signal, because there's such a high margin business. Such a high margin business. But I want someone to build the infrastructure that's going to connect and plug in with all these different terminals, because it's becoming so fragmented. People are now just trading strictly on FOMO or strictly on Pump Fund or strictly on Twitter or whatever it might be. Who's creating the infrastructure where I can put out one thesis, it'll be spread to all these terminals, and I'm getting a piece of fees from any flow that I get, whether the flow is coming from Twitter through Jupiter, or another DEX or Uniswap, or whether the flow is going straight through FOMO or Pump Fund. It's a very difficult problem to solve, but if you're building something like that, let me know. I will help you bring it to market. I have every single relationship you could possibly need to deliver something like this. It's a very difficult challenge, but I think it's the direction we're headed in. I just haven't fully cracked out how we're going to be able to, to plug into all these different terminals and get them to pay the people that are bringing the volume, because your distribution is valuable and it's becoming more valuable. So that's the lore. You're becoming a gym boy slowly, a gym guy, gym bro. That's good, Ave. That's good, Ave. If I'm ever with you, we'll hit the gym sometime. But yeah. So that was a tweet I just wanted to talk about. I did promise we would talk about Nuit. Let me scroll up. Who was it? Pure Alpha. You with me? Pure Alpha. If you're with me, I'll talk through Nuit. I did promise I would talk through it. You mentioned they are. Oh, that's not the right tweet. Here it is. Mr. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Have you seen Nuit? You can launch a meme coin pair with a prediction market portfolio. I saw it. I haven't looked into it much. Generally, not super bullish on this idea, but open to being convinced otherwise. So here, let's check the chart. I know the chart has been up, right? Nuit. Chart has been up. Yeah, so here we are. I'm going to make my little face smaller here so we can see more screen. All right. Perfect. This is good. So I got the Nuit chart up. Yeah, it's popped. I was actually having this shield very low. Shout out to my boy. Who was shilling this to me? Low Cap Hunter. Low Cap Hunter was showing this to me at, like, honestly, Pico bottoms, and I didn't have the time to look into it. So now we'll look into it. But yeah, it's gone from like sub 100K to 400K. Market's moving really nicely. Let's pull up their Twitter and get into it here. I actually have this tweet here. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Oh, jeez. All right. All right. Real quick. Creator coins are here. Instead of backing your tokens with a single prediction market, you can now back it with your own prediction portfolio. Your community becomes your trading capital. Holders get rewarded every time your calls hit, and you can never rug it. Live now on Nuit.fun. Let's watch a little intro video and see what this is all about. See if it's something. He's been right for years. He just never had the capital. So his community became it. Launch a coin. The Oracle, 7 years of public calls. Right, 71% of the time. Okay. The vault fills itself. Buy-ins seeded. A fee on every trade keeps topping it up. His community is the capital raise. Not one bet, a whole book. Will Solana trade above $100 by October? Okay. So are these separate individual bets or like a parlay? The calls start hitting. I think they're individual bets. The book realized 28,000. Profit split 4 ways. On-chain automatic. The vault keeps $7,000. War chest. It stays in the vault and keeps trading. The rest goes to the creator, keeps 5,600. So if you're slapping on trades, you keep 20%. Holders get 50%. Yep. And Nuit gets $1,400 bought back and burned for providing the infrastructure. Okay. Okay. So it looks like you can do this for trading. It looks like you can do this for prediction markets. Thesis being, hey, we got Chill. He's on a heater right now on Robinhood. He's crushing it. He's making all these trades. Maybe it is only for prediction markets, though. I didn't see anything about like trading other than the end here. A cheat code for raising trading cap. Oh, trading capital for prediction markets, obviously. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah, I'm not really deep in the weeds of prediction markets, to be honest. We'll talk about this. This is AMP. This is a new like NFT collection, right? Give me like a TLDR and I'll jump on that after. Yeah, so I'm not really deep in the weeds of prediction markets. We've had some prediction market calls that were really good back during like the Iran conflict. Josh made a few on oil that aged really well. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is a super novel concept. Yeah, you launch a token. The token represents you as a trader, right? It represents you as a trader. That capital goes into a pot. You now take that pot and you can trade with it. If you predict right, you make money. Half of it goes to holders. Some of it goes to you. Some of it goes to protocol. Some of it goes to the treasury growing. Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. It would be really cool if an insider launched one of these, right? Like we see the guys that are on prediction markets, Polymarket, Kalshi, and they're insider trading like Trump news, right? They know what Trump's going to do next, and they're insider trading. The wallets are clear as day. This is never going to happen because they're already printing so much money. But if they launch a token, I mean, and I can get paid out for their right predictions, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's cool though, but it would take like, I'm assuming the fees are like 1%. Like this would have to go to a very high market cap to get any meaningful capital, right? So like it would only work. I think this is kind of like of the nature of creator coins. So like the only people this would really be applicable for are like, you have to have a really big influence to where people are going to be like, okay, this guy makes good calls. Just like the tweet I covered earlier. And that'll generate meaningful trading fees. Maybe you'll get 5, 10, 15,000. Or you have to really be a great trader and have it all documented on chain or somewhere where people can see it and be like, okay, this guy's actually going to print me money. It doesn't work for like most people. So like you're already kind of operating in a pretty small pool. The insiders run prediction markets it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. It is. Like I look, if I can get exposure to that in a roundabout way, yeah, count me in, right? Count me in. I don't think the platform or theory is bad at all for this. I just think you're catering to a really small cohort of people, and the only way for a platform like this to really blow up, I mean, it's a launch pad, right? It's a launch pad. We know launch pads don't do well unless the tokens on their platform have a lot of volume. And I think it's pretty difficult to have a token on this platform get a lot of volume unless you can literally do like groundwork of attracting someone who's a really talented trader that's got a track record, or someone with crazy distribution that people are gonna want basically to bet on. It kind of goes back to creator markets, creator coins, which I haven't been too bullish on in the past. So not against it. I would say the way I invest in this, or I would trade this new token, right, is I would need it on a dip, number one. And number two, I need to see some successful launches from their platform. I need to see people actually picking this up, some product market fit. I mean, here we can, let's see. Let's go to the website. What tokens have launched? Yeah, see, there's a Nua token, and then there's really nothing else. Right? Like volume, 91K. This has got 91K volume. Let's see what 100K volume, or roughly 100K, does to like a treasury. A seer with a spreadsheet. Okay, so this is about 100K volume. Is sitting at 16K market cap. So it's got, okay, 100K volume delivered $759 to war chest bet. $305 in 12 open positions. Okay, so it's about $1,064. Not bad, honestly. Honestly, not bad. Okay, so it's a 2% trading fee. 2% trading fee. So yeah, this bot or whatever has $1,000 to trade for. I guess like if we can see this start running it up and this 1,000 turns into 10,000, not solely based on just trading fees, but actually based on really good trades, you know, maybe it becomes interesting. But yeah, so it's a launch pad. The Nua token specifically, you're betting on a launch pad. So we would need to see a lot of examples of a lot of people launch or a lot of volume coming through the platform. So probably a fade for me. Probably a fade for me. But if you do like the concept, keep it on a watch list and just regularly go in and see, do we have any new launches? Do we have volume coming through? Do we have an agent or a person or a trader printing on the platform? But yeah, right now volume's just, I mean, the most is 91K. Everything past that is sub 10K. So 470K 24-hour volume, most of that being, of course, the 300K from Newit.fun. So, yeah, again, just another launch pad. Probably gonna fade on that. What do I got here? Sorry, I see some people in the Discord sending some stuff. Might cover that in a second. Just kind of gauging. Okay, people like the net interview. Let's actually see. I think that's off a bit of a pump, maybe based on that conversation. Not much, just a couple percent, but the market's generally down today, so holding this range pretty nicely. Yeah, there's net for reference on the conversation we just had. Let's tap into this core weave position we took that Joe put us up with. Yeah, I'll take a few trades here. If someone in the chat gives me a trade and it prints, I will here, a few of you guys send trades on this platform in the chat, and if it prints, I will maybe send you the profits. Because this $100 is pretty much a gift. I don't want to profit off of it. So let me know. This is Block Swap. This is Joe's platform, who's our first guest. Right now, he told us to put a position in Core Weave, and he told us to go long on it, which I think we're down on. Here, let's see. Let's close it. Oh, okay, very minimal. Yeah, so I mean, you'll need some size to actually make anything shake. But if you guys have a trade you want me to take, I'll do it here. Let's see. Let's see what's trending. I actually do think Bitcoin goes up for the rest of the day. Probably, potentially. So, but I'm gonna go, you know, some sort of leverage position here. Put a lot of size. Any thoughts on insight or potential of Bull coin meme to be relevant on Robinhood meme? Could soon bottoming out. Liquidity is poor though. Pure Alpha, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I'm like, the memes have been running pretty well on Robinhood. I'll give you that. The memes have been really good on Robinhood. I'm not a meme guy. Not a meme guy. So I'm good at fundamentals. And this also goes back to trading 101. Like, you need to identify what you're really good at. I'm good at identifying fundamentals. I'm good at predicting trends before they're trends, which ties into meme coins a little bit, right? You know, I can do that in that sense, but I'm not very good at meme coins because it's so touchy-feely, like all attention driven. And when the music stops, it's done. So I would just like default to somebody else for advice on meme coins, unless you're talking about something like Cash Cat, which is like, for me, the thesis there is very obviously a proxy bet on Robinhood doing well. You know, get a dip on that. The main meme runner of the chain probably goes to $1 billion at some point, right? So, any thoughts on insights on the potential of Bull? I just don't know enough about it either. Bull coin meme to be relevant on Robinhood. Could soon bottom out. What's it paired against? What makes it like, what makes the meme special? Is it trending across social media? If that's the case and it hasn't really got attention, maybe it goes up on the charts temporarily, but it will probably die. If it's just like, I don't think Bullcoin's funny. I don't think anything's funny about that name or like the idea. Kind of already have leading memes, so I don't know. I probably fade unless it's got some deep lore. Like, is Bull, is Bull the original name that Robinhood was gonna be? Like, yeah, you got to give me some more because I'm not super familiar with the meme landscape right now in Robinhood, and I'm generally not the person to talk to about it, to be honest. I'll give you trends. I'll tell you exactly where we head from a trending perspective for whatever, and I'll tell you about fundamentals, and like I'll give you multiples and all that good stuff, and the possibility of something becoming a huge protocol. But again, much more utility focused. All right, let's see what we got. What's got a lot of leverage here? Let's do some leverage bets. And again, these are like not optimal trading hours. Let's see. Where's the AI? Let's see. Okay, what's trending? Oil. What's oil looking like here? Let's pop over. Guys, and don't copy trade me on this. This is like purely, literally, I'm just gonna gamble. Like I'm just trying to test out the platform here. Gonna gamble away $100 for the most part, or you should at least assume it. This is like not financial advice. Oil's looking decent, but why would oil go higher right now? We're kind of in this limbo state. Probably not oil. Okay, signals flashing. Dell's down. I feel like I've seen Dell pop up a few times. Dell Computers. Let's see what Dell's looking like on a macro. Oh wow. Off a pretty impressive pump. This is up only. I was telling you guys, trend's your friend. Don't fight the trend. But we are off a pretty hot pump. This probably fades off into Asia session. If anything, we see London session or New York session give us the reversal. So honestly, I do kind of like Dell. I do like Dell for a very short-term short. So here's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to go to Dell. Let's go to a position here. Let's do size. Let's do, what do I have left? Current amount, $97. Use max. All right, we'll do max size, set size there. Leverage. Can we lever up on this? Okay, set leverage is 10. Positions. But I need Dell. I'm on CoreWeave. Okay, let's see. I'll short Dell. And again, this is like not me going into a ton of thought with this here, but I think it likely just trends down. Okay, I filled. Nice. No. Am I? Did I fill? Did I fill? Yeah, I think I filled. I think this, why does it say $1 position though? Am I not in a, here, let me close out just to make sure. I want to put my whole size in here. $94 max. Yes, that size. Okay. Oh, I guess I'm cool. Whatever. All right, we'll see. We'll see. We'll play around with it. But yeah. It just reached 10 million market cap. All right, let me check out this meme real quick. Like Bull, if you paired it with like Ansem, becomes interesting, right? But like that's already kind of been done with Manlet. I guess this is it. This looks like insider, bro. This looks like an insider fest. I would definitely not buy this. Nicholas, what's the ticker, bro? What's the ticker? I am not on YouTube right now to grab this. I can only see from my terminal what you comment. I can't actually click into it. So what's the ticker, Nicholas? Yeah, Pure Alpha. I would fade this to oblivion. If I could short this, I would short this. I mean, that chart looks horrendous. Look at this wick right here. Like clearly supply controlled. This person one clipped out a ton. He's probably still drip selling, or this entity is still drip selling. It nearly went up only. I'm not sure why it went nearly up only, but yeah, I'd probably fade this to oblivion. to be honest. Robinhood Bull, now on chain. Join the herd and spread. What's this paired against ETH? Yeah, join the herd and spread the way of the bull. Not affiliated with Robinhood. Yeah, I don't think the meme's funny. I don't think the meme's funny. And I don't like the chart. So unless this has some sort of like insider connect or followed by AJC, Aussie Pow, or Ugo Vortiza, it's got some good mutuals, to be honest. Does have some good mutuals. Oh, okay. Okay. So there is lore. Okay. There is lore. On December 29th, 2020, Robinhood registered the bull as IP, but they never gave him a personality. So we did. Okay. So there is Robinhood owned IP called the bull. I guess this is the bull right here. And they're like CTOing it, giving it lore. Okay. Okay. I rescind though. I rescind then. I think the chart's terrible still. Like I wouldn't buy this chart until you start seeing some compression on candles. I probably won't buy this at all for what it's worth. But like, you know, we're at 2.3 mil now. It did hit 10 mil. Maybe it comes back. It's Robinhood IP. Allegedly, I don't know all the lore to it. I would start buying this if we start really compressing, right? So maybe dip lower, compress a little bit where the spreads don't look like this. You know, clearly sellers getting exhausted because these memes are so rotation heavy. Like these guys will just sell until there's nothing left. So wait till it starts consolidating, at least if you are going to buy. For sure, brother. Shinjuku. I got you, bro. I got you. Let's see. Shinjuku. All right, I think I got the right one here. Oh, this was this was launched on Claw Pump, right? This was launched on Claw Pump, right? Yeah, this chart's crazy. What the heck? Shinjuku is an underground market where AI agents can transact without exposing their full financial relationships on public blockchains. Instead of relying on a direct wallet-to-wallet trail, our settlement design routes value through a shielded process where public observers may see funds enter and leave, but cannot access a specific sender to a specific receiver. We created a private settlement infrastructure for agent-to-agent commerce. Okay, so it's like a mixer. It's a mixer for agents. The thing is, mixers and privacy protocols don't work well unless there's a ton of volume, or at least specifically ones like this, where you can see the person enter and you can see the person exit, but you don't know what happens inside. You know, it's no different than a centralized exchange, right? It's just a pool of money, and you can't track what happens inside, right? Now, if no one has this infrastructure and they're building it and they're going to offer it to a lot of agents, it could be cool. I will say, though, like, it's not meta. Right now, the markets are getting much better. Ceilings are rising, but meta is still very important. And what's in meta right now is not AI agents, to be honest. It's RWAs, it's V4 hooks. Yeah. I mean, name something outside of RWAs, V4 hooks, and of course memes, like on Robinhood, that have run in the last month. You know, it's a rhetorical question, but like there hasn't been any. So you're playing at a disadvantage if you're bidding AI coins right now. To be completely frank with you. But let's check out their Twitter account and see what's good. If volume's crazy for this and we see agents are already finding this important and valuable, then bang bang. I think this is a down the road, longer term thing, right? So if they're shipping for the next 6 months, because agents themselves are still not very prominent. Right? Like, do you know anybody that's using a claw bot every day in and day out? There's a handful. And we're like the cohort of people that knows people that use these things, right? But I don't know a lot of people that are using personalized agents every day to automate their life and workflows. I think we're still a bit far out from that, like 3 to 6 months. So again, if agents aren't even transacting autonomously right now, for the most part, why would they want to be private? Why would they care about privacy? Right. So that's my thesis. Do I think it's important in the future? Yes. Do I think it's important right now? Probably not. But here, let's check out the Twitter. Followed by X42 on Solana. Okay, so it's using X402, I'm assuming, right? So on-chain agentic payments, no surprise there. And it's adding a privacy layer to it, right? The only private marketplace with untraceable X402 transactions. Okay. Yeah, extract the agents out of it even, right? It's X402 protocol. And they've created a private X402 protocol for agents. Yeah. X402 is also not hot right now, right? So it's not like that narrative gives us a saving grace. It looks like Claw Pump incubated them to some extent, which is nice to see. Claw Pump does help their ecosystem a lot. Let's see. We are aware of our website being down because we had a huge influx of users. That's great. Wouldn't be something I'd hold on to. Like, might be a trade, might be some hype because it's incubated by Claw Pump. You know, it's AI, it's cool, it's a new primitive. I would say the better trade on this is keeping it on a watch list 6 months down the road and watching for X402 to pick up or agents to start taking over. And then basically applying this and saying, okay, agents are actually huge now. People are actually using them in a meaningful way. They're going to need privacy for whatever reason. Or X402 is picking up. Like, how come we have no private X402 swaps? We need privacy. Either of those things are like, that's your if-then situations. I want to see the thesis behind this, though. Like, I understand. Yeah, I understand. The thesis is not novel here, but built around a single privacy trick. It combines multiple layers that work together. Private, wire, blah, blah. I don't care about all the technicals as long as it works, to be honest. We believe agentic commerce needs more than fast payments. Agents should be able to pay suppliers, services, and others and one another without publicly revealing every customer relationship strategy or commercial dependency. By combining private coordination with verifiable on-chain settlement, we are building. Yeah, I do agree with that. Especially as agents take over more operations, but we're not there yet, right? Like, once agents take over operations of business, you don't want to show that you're purchasing this much of this supply from a supplier. It doesn't happen in the real world. It's not going to happen for our agents. So yeah, it's practical. It's practical stuff. Show me time in the market here and show me product market fit, and I'm in agreement. Right now, though, we don't have the narrative, and we don't. Yeah, I mean, that's it. We just don't have the narrative. But good shout. I like it. It's a good shout. This stuff is cool in the right market. But like, we don't want to play a loser's game, right? We want to play a winner's game. And a winner's game right now is what's hot is RWA. Agentic finance is kind of hot, and I think this is going to pick up shortly, right? Like with Robinhood and Vlad being so clear, I'm still surprised we haven't seen this more on Robinhood, to be honest. With Robinhood and Vlad being so clear about agentic finance being like something they massively want to get ahead of, I'm surprised we haven't seen this do really, really well. Like, there hasn't been one agentic finance runner. I would keep eyes out for that on Robinhood specifically. Look for an agentic finance solution that is really, really good. And just wait, to be honest. Just wait. So, yeah, AI is not the trend right now. Agentic finance is somewhat the trend, or at least I think going to be on Robinhood. So, okay, good shout, good shout. Gonna move on from that, though. I don't think it's a trade for me. Yeah, got you, brother. Got you. Let's see what else, bro. I need to sit here and learn about ETHFi because I've been fading it for far too long. And this has become a consensus trade amongst the right people, right? So you have two types of consensus trade. You have consensus trade amongst general public, right? The peons, and you want to fade that generally. And you have consensus trade against smart money and, sophisticated investors, and you want to get on board when you start seeing early rumblings. I'm seeing that for ETHFi. I'm seeing that for ETHFi. People like Carlos, who's Blockworks, I believe. Yeah. People like Carlos, who are Blockworks. People like Lezabre, I believe, is in this. Like, sophisticated investors who do good research are piling into this. And I'm not seeing it everywhere yet. So this is like early formation of a trend. I know nothing about it. So let's sit down here and try to understand it real quick. Why I'm long ETHFi. Cash now generates 65% of ETHFi's revenue. July spend reached 100 million. Oh, it's a neobank. That's right. And by the way, like neobanks are huge. Like there's a lot of huge crypto trends right now that are happening that are not investable for the average person. Like stablecoin payments are freaking huge. I'm not sure if you look at Circle's numbers. Circle's numbers are out of this world. They're huge. Bucket and Hooker on a Robinhood. We'll definitely talk about it. I did a thorough breakdown on Hooker the other day. Very cool primitive in theory. Very cool primitive in theory. We'll talk about it in a sec. But yeah, like QR payments are huge, especially in emerging markets. Like you go anywhere outside the US, even in Europe, QR payments are starting to blow up, even in the US in some places, right? So QR payments are massively huge, and stablecoins are massively huge. And you guys have probably heard my thesis a million times on stablecoins where we had, but it's like in emerging markets or countries that have a terrible inflated currency, why would they not want to transact in the world's reserve currency, which is the United States dollar, right? And so the very obvious life cycle of finance becomes people start using QR codes. They realize payments are much easier this way. Then they realize if I'm already paying digitally, why am I not just doing this in the US dollar? Okay, it's because I haven't had access to it in the past. Okay, well now on-chain rails give us access to US dollars, right? USDC, USDG, USDT, whatever. Okay, why the heck am I using my Boliviano when it's getting inflated to shit every day of my life? And it's got a black market and a blue market that other people trade on. Okay, well, I'm going to stop using my terrible currency and start using the world reserve currency, the US dollar. Okay, so this is how we go from we're doing QR payments to now everyone's paying in the United States dollar. Everyone's transacting using dominant currencies. US dollar, Great British pound, euro, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so once we get there, we're already more centralized now at this point. This is when people start realizing, okay, well, my euro, Great British pound, Swiss franc, Japanese yen, United States dollar, they're really just as shit as these highly inflated currencies, and they're going to fall and suffer the same fate as all these other ones as well. They're going to get inflated as shit, and they're going to be valueless, right? It's not like they're backed by any, some currencies are backed by like the natural land resources, but it's not like many of these currencies are backed by anything. It's paper. It's worthless. And that's when you get people collectively agree, just like we had the same issue with our own currency, which is why we decided to start using US dollars. That same issue is going to come up with these currencies that are the major ones, USD, GBP, Euro, JPY, whatever. And so that's when they go from, okay, US dollars are cooked. We're going to start transacting in gold and silver and Bitcoin. And so now we have this move of like, we actually need a currency that is decentralized, uncensored, and has no centralized control. And that's where like the Bitcoin thesis kind of comes into play. So, we're seeing all these innovations and emergences of crypto. It really is working on the back end. It's just for things that are like not really tradable on chain, or their equities like Circle stock, right? So neobanks have even been popping off, right? This is one of those, like Revolut is a massive like let's see what's the value of Revolut. Valuation of Revolut. Yeah, let's see. $115 billion. Yeah, so I mean, neobanks are blowing up. Revolut's valued at 115 billies, boys. So, okay. So I like the neobank trade. I just need the numbers just need to literally speak for themselves, right? It can't be like an on-chain neobank that's got no users. That's pretty much just a white labeled wrapper of whatever crypto credit card they're using on the back end. I need a real neobank. So let's talk EtherFi. Now that we have like my back end thesis, Cash now generates 65% of EtherFi's revenue. July spend reached 100 million, and programmatic buybacks finally connect the growth to that token. This must be the new thing here. The market also underestimates EtherFi's neobank progression. The card acquires users while borrow and trading features deepen monetization. My full 7-minute thesis from yesterday's analyst call on Blockwords. Let's and we're not doing 7 minutes here, boys. We're not doing 7 minutes, but I'm going to go 1.5x speed, and Carlos is going to break this down in more like 4 minutes.
ETHFi setup is interesting. When the Ethereum staking proposal was published last week on August 4th, ETHFi fell 12% on the day, almost as much as Lido, which fell 15%, while ETH itself was essentially
flat. This is a real analyst, by the way,
guys.
This
that the market is still treating EtherFi primarily as a staking
your
business,
favorite KOL
which is
here.
wrong based on what the data shows. So over the past 4 weeks, Cash has generated 62.5% of EtherFi's revenue. This refers to interchange revenue already net of cashback. So including cash borrowed, EtherFi's neobank business generated roughly 65% of total protocol revenue, while staking contributed only to 27%. So the chart on the bottom right is the most important one. Cash accounted for essentially none of EtherFi's revenue at the beginning of 2025, while today it generates nearly 2/3. So the disconnect is very simple. The market still values EtherFi as a staking token, when in reality, EtherFi is now a consumer finance play with a declining staking operation underneath it. So if you go to the next slide, cash processed $100 million in spend in July, up 20% month over month. Since January,
Nice.
spend has grown at an average monthly rate of 11%. To be conservative, let's assume that growth slows to 5% per month. Even then, cash will process approximately 1.7 billion over the next 12 months. At a gross take rate of roughly 3.65%,
Yeah, that's a fair
that will
growth
produce
estimate.
about $62 million in gross transaction revenue. And after approximately 30
This was a outlier of a month, clearly. Looks like it probably had a 20% jump here, 20% jump here. It looks like every other month we're doing 20%. So I think 5% is safe.
$9 million
growth.
of cashback, EtherFi will retain around $23 million in net transaction revenue, which is equivalent to a 1.35% net take rate. So against a roughly 390 million market cap, EtherFi is trading at a 17 times forward cash revenue.
I mean, like, I'm already gonna like stop this though. Like, they did 100 million in spend this month, but like, look at like Credible. Like, Credible's, what's Credible doing in monthly? And I know it's a different. Credible's not a neobank, but again, like, same kind of business model on the back end. And it's trading at like, yeah. Let's see what Credible is trading like on chain right now. Again, this is a MetaDAO token, so you have direct ownership over this. Like, you don't have to do buybacks. It's just you have access to the flows of the treasury. Yeah, this is trading at a $12.7 million market cap. I wonder, let's see their website. Can I track some of their numbers? Dude, they're nearly at $1 billion processed. They're nearly at $1 billion processed. Let me see the numbers. Like, their growth is 30% month over month. I think they've already processed 36 million in the first 9 days of being live. This, again, they're expanding. And so I understand neobank is different, but it's all payments, right? It's still all payments. I'm not saying EtherFi is not a good trade, but I'm just saying, like, you have some really good options out here. Yeah, let me here, let's get on, let's do some research real quick on Cred. Shout out Contra, man. Contra's putting in legwork in terms of bag work and Cred, and like, rightfully so. Yeah, look, $1 billion proof that global payments can move differently. Yeah, so this is insane. 3 commas volume processed by Cred. There's no current product equivalent to Cred in this current market. Yeah, like, this is valid. ETHFi is the easiest 2 to 3x with unlimited size if you can hold a coin a couple of months. Like, yeah, I mean, same thinking here, Contra. June total volume is 792 million, and they did 146 million from June, which is all-time high. As of July 28th, they did 935 million, which means in 3 days pending, they already did 143 million. Oh, yes. They have a Dune dashboard. Do they have a Dune dashboard? I would love to look at this. Oh, I think I saw it. Where did I see the Dune dashboard? Where's the link, boys? Here. Oh, it's literally in Incredible's bio. All right, this is perfect. Okay, so we're talking about EtherFi. We're putting 5% growth projections on it, and it's like a $300 million asset. Credible is trading at $13 million on chain. I think like their numbers are pretty comparable. Let's see. $1 billion processed. Yo, are we serious right now? $1 billion processed. Look at this. Yeah, so they went from so monthly they went from 954 million last month to the first of this month, 954 to $1.8 billion. Yeah, so they only did about 55. I say only, that's still insane. So they are doing a little less than EtherFi in terms of like processing volume month over month. but the growth is pretty. I mean, the growth is still 30% month over month here. So 954,600,000 to 1,000,008,000. Yeah, so call it about $50 million they did versus previously. Yeah, they went from about 800 to 950 for. So yeah, they did maybe call it $60 million in volume from June 1st to July 1st. They had $60 million. And from July 1st to August 1st, they actually slowed down a little bit. But they still grew. They still did about 50 million process. So they're doing about 50 million process. Growth is slowing a little bit. But 50 million a month is really impressive. And this is trading at 12.7 mil versus ETHFi. And again, like these projections are good versus ETHFi though, is doing 100 mil trading at a 300 million valuation. So, cut that in half to equate for it. They're doing about the same growth. I actually think Credible is growing faster, but that would value Credible like $150 million would be a comparable Credible valuation to EtherFi. And people think EtherFi is undervalued. That's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts. Yeah. I'll finish watching this though, because I do want to learn more.
Is extremely conservative for three main reasons. So first, I am assuming 5%.
Are we on the same page with this though, or am I
cash
tripping?
has grown at an average monthly rate of 11% so far this year. So we also have the holiday months approaching when consumer spending generally increases. Second, I think the calculation assumes staking revenue falls to zero purely to make a point. In reality, that is unlikely, particularly because the staking proposal will most likely fail. And third, it gives no credit to future borrow revenue, which I expect to become a lot more important over time. So the progression at the bottom is how I think about the longer-term opportunity for EtherFi. Neobanks generally acquire and engage customers through payments before monetizing those relationships more deeply through credit. So borrow revenue represents only around 4% of EtherFi's cash revenue. That is very, very early relative to more mature neobanks. For instance, you can see here that Mercado Pago and Nubank illustrate how the revenue mix can evolve as credit scales.
He just brought up Credible?
Is proving demand for the product, while credit could eventually increase revenue per user without requiring proportional growth in card spending. So if you go to the final slide on EtherFi, because the EtherFi investor call ended only about an hour ago, I want to focus on what changed for the investment thesis. Beyond the business metrics that I have presented, EtherFi has been punished.
EtherFi is a $426 million.
So for me, going into the call, the most important issue was whether they would address token holder value accrual. They did exactly that, announcing programmatic ETHFi buybacks targeted for a September launch. So at the current run rate, ETHFi expects approximately $1.3 million per month to fund buybacks. That consists of roughly $970K from interchange, equivalent to 1% of.
Okay. Take this in. This is the important part.
For a September launch. So at the current run rate,
September we have buybacks coming.
Approximately $1.3 million per month to fund buybacks.
1.3
that
million.
Consists of roughly $970K from interchange, equivalent to 1% of card spend, $260K from swaps, and
1.3 million a month. I mean, look, let's just do the quick math on it, boys. 1.3 times 12. Yeah, so that's 15.6 million annualized. 400 million divided by 15.6 million. That's a 25x multiple they're putting on it. 25x multiple. Of course, he's factored in growth in his analysis, so it's a little tighter. And 25 is not crazy. 25 is not crazy. So I don't think EtherFi is a bad trade, but like when you have things like Credible, I just don't know the revenues, right? So they process $1 billion or $50 million a month. What does that equate to in revenue? Not entirely sure. Okay, let's finish this up.
From staking. I think the programmatic structure is very important because it should help restore trust as buybacks are no longer discretionary, and it means the amount allocated scales directly with card spend. The chart on the left applies these allocations to the same 5% monthly cash growth case from the.
Again, yeah, they put a forward projection on this, so the 21 million's higher than what I got. That's assuming they grow 5%, which is I think
previous slide, while holding
good
swaps
number.
and staking flat based on the team's projections. On that basis, monthly buybacks would increase from roughly $1.4 million in August to more than $2.1 million by next July. That implies approximately $21 million of projected buybacks over the next 12 months.
Yeah, it's a fair analysis.
Roughly 5.4% buyback yield at ETHFi's current 390 million market cap. Again, I think those assumptions are quite conservative. EtherFi Cash is already the second largest crypto card behind Red.Pay and has surpassed Cash, so faster growth is certainly possible. The estimate also excludes any contributions from Borrow, which, as I mentioned, will be added to the buyback base as it is activated and that revenue line grows. The market has responded positively.
Yeah, I'll say what I like about EtherFi. Although it is, 25x revenues. Now, of course, it's gonna be a little less if you're taking his number here, accounting for growth. What I do like is that you're buying the leader here, right? If you like neobanks in general, you can get exposure to the leader with programmatic buybacks. So yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all.
With ETHFi up around 5% since the announcement an hour ago. And the other major announcement was product focused. So they redesigned the app and website alongside several new products. Most notably, users will now be able to trade crypto and tokenized assets directly through EtherFi, while its own for instance, will allow them to borrow against their entire portfolios. So the broader platform now combines trading, borrowing, spending, and payments across more than 30 currencies, 20 networks, and 15 payment rails.
Yeah.
This supports the neobank progression that I discussed on the previous slide, but on a broader scale. EtherFi is expanding monetization beyond interchange through trading and borrowing, while trying to own the user's primary financial relationships. Overall, I think the call materially strengthened the thesis. My initial trade setup was based on the neobank already becoming EtherFi's core business and the market not appreciating that. But token holder value accrual was the missing piece. I think these proposed programmatic buybacks directly address that gap, and I think ETHFi could be well positioned for a re-rating.
What y'all think? I think that's a good analysis. Yeah. I think that's a good analysis. I think we have better options though in like Credible. So what does we go back to this Credible Dune dashboard here. So Credible's processed $1 billion, but like what does this mean for top line revenue? Right? I know we're not doing buybacks in the token, but like here, let's go to 01. Let's go to 01. 01 Resolve is going to be basically the place you can track all MetaDAO projects and do like they do a lot of investor relations. So let's see about this real quick. Credible. Let's see if they have any inflow to the treasury or if it's outflow. Yeah, Credible's just a great trade. I don't think I even need to really see it. Yeah, let's go to financials here. I mean, there's a slight premium, 40% premium. The thing that's funny though, like putting a 40% premium on a token growing or on a protocol growing 30% month over month makes no sense, right? That makes no sense. Yeah, they got 4 million in the treasury right now. 4.22 million in the treasury. All right. Yeah, it looks like treasury has kind of stayed flat since launch. 4.3 million. How much did they raise? Called 4.5. Today we sit at 4.3. I mean, down a couple 100,000. Yeah, monthly runway is 12 months, but like how profitable are they? How profitable are they? Yeah, so they're spending a $250,000 a month from this raise is being spent. That's not a problem. I would imagine they're profitable though. You know? So that's the one unknown I have right now is like, and he told us in our interview, but like how much they take out of each position. They did $1 billion in volume, which is insane. Doing $50 million a month with significant growth, although there was no growth this last month. Oh yeah, 3.5 million per year. Okay. 3.5 million per year. Yeah, I mean, you can put forward projections, put it at 5% like they're doing for EtherFi. You know, I don't know, do the math on that. So 3.5 million per year is pretty solid. I think that grows probably significantly. Okay. I don't know. I like Credible. At 13 million here on chain. 0.4 is NAV. Or 0.4 is ICO at least. So yeah, let's see. Is it trading 39% above NAV? Yeah. So I mean, you're putting a 39% premium on basically the net asset value of this token when it's supposedly growing 30% month over month. So that's just, yeah, it's compressed. Market's just not here though. Again, like I go back to the conversation we had about trends, right? It's just not narrative right now. It's not the narrative. but banking payments, it's a good business. So, okay, this is looking good. I'm not going to cover CRID too much longer here. We had a request. What was it? Yeah, Bucket and Hooker on Robinhood. Let's talk it, man. I love Hooker. In theory, I love Hooker. It's at 411. Yeah, this is like the buy zone I was looking at. So, here's the TLDR on Hooker. Hooker's another launch pad. You guys know how I feel about that. I don't care. I will not even blink twice at a launch pad if it's doing the same thing. Hooker's unique because the dev has been building kind of in this DeFi space for a long time. And he mentioned that he's building out basically native leveraged positions. Okay. So V4 hooked leverage positions. And so you got to think about this. It's a very difficult concept to understand. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it to people. In theory, so firstly, you have to understand how normal tokens trade. Okay. And normal tokens trade is there's a liquidity pool, right? You have a bonding curve. The bonding curve is basically a raise of money. It's how money's raised. The bonding curve is raising money. And then in this pool, you have a mix of tokens and native currency. In this case, we'll call it Ethereum, right? So for the Hooker case, you have a pool of Hooker and a pool of Ethereum, right? So at any point in time, I can swap out, I can go in with my money, my Ethereum, and I can take Hooker out of that pool and put more Ethereum into the pool. Or vice versa. At any point in time, I want to take Hooker out of the pool, I want to sell it, I can put more Hooker back in, and in exchange, take Ethereum out. So there's these pools of money just sitting there. And the question becomes, how can we put these pools of money to work? And this is where Hooker says, okay, we have more solutions, right? Because right now you can add pools of money and you can actually earn fees on people using and exchanging in those pools of money, right? It's called liquidity provision. So if you provide liquidity and I want to go in and I want to sell my Hooker in exchange for ETH, I'm offering up that money to give to you. In exchange, I'm taking a fee, whatever that cut might be. So liquidity pools already function as basically markets. You can even think of it like OTC markets. I'll give you this money for a fee at this price. Okay? I'll give you this money for a fee at this price. So now we think, well, we have these pools of money. Why not basically operate like a bank? Right? Just like banks have these pools of money. You know, you go and deposit your money into a bank. Sure, you get your yield on it. It's pretty small, but they're taking your money and doing stuff with it. They're giving it out as loans. They're doing investment, but they're buying real estate. They're putting in investments. They're making money with your money. So the idea becomes, well, we have these pools of money for every single token that exists. We have these two pools of money. Why don't we turn that into a bank in and of itself? How can we maximize the fees and yield generation from this pre-existing money we have just sitting there? And so right now, the only way to do it is providing liquidity and providing, ranges where you would be willing to exchange that money for tokens or vice versa for a fee. Where Hooker flips this on its head is they say, well, why not act like a bank and you can actually now borrow against this money, right? If you have a position in Hooker, you can actually borrow against it and you're going to pay us to do so natively from the liquidity pool. Or, hey, you like Hooker a lot. You want to get a leverage position on it. I have 2 ETH. I want 2x leverage on Hooker. So what I can do now is I can go to that LP pool. It's already these pools of money and it's got its own built-in risk engine. And I say, I really like Hooker. I actually want 2x leverage on it. So I give you 2 ETH and now I get 4 ETH of exposure. Okay. And the risk engine says, well, if you go down this much, you'll be liquidated and we keep the liquidations and we keep the fees, right? So before it goes down enough to liquidate me, they would take that out. That's how they maintain profitability. Or opposite happens and it goes up and my 4 ETH of exposure turns into 8 ETH. Okay, so now I have 8 ETH. And they did a great explanation of this where what I have to do is now I have to repay the debt, right? So again, I went in with 2 of my own ETH. I got 2 ETH of debt. I'm now repaying the 2 ETH, right? So I had 8 ETH of profit. I went in for 2 ETH. I have 8 ETH of profit now floating. I have to repay the 2 ETH debt. Okay, so now I have 6 ETH profit. I have to subtract the 2 ETH that I put in. So now I'm 4 ETH profit. And then by the way, the liquidity pool, which loaned me that 2 ETH to go leverage long, I have to pay them whatever the fee they asked for it was. So let's say that was, a couple percentage. maybe I pay them 0.1 ETH. And so now I walk away with 3.9 ETH profit. Went in with 2 ETH, profited 3.9 ETH. The only thing that's different here is Hooker is enabling it so that the pool can be used to do all these different DeFi functions. I don't have to go to a lending and borrowing platform to borrow against my position. I can do it natively through the liquidity pool. And liquidity providers can earn more money. Or if I want to go leverage long, I can do that natively through the liquidity pool. And the liquidity pool is the risk engine. So it's very difficult to understand, but you almost have to think of each individual token working as a bank. Banks aren't going to approve you for every loan. Banks aren't going to approve you for every loan, right? And so if the market doesn't have enough liquidity to approve you for a loan, it simply won't do that. Okay, so that's what Hooker is. In theory, it sounds great, and I hope I'm trying to get this explanation down to people so they understand it. In theory, it sounds fantastic. We have liquidity pools. We're only using them for one function. Why not use them for all these different functions that can generate more revenue, grow the liquidity pool, grow fees for LPs, which more fees for LPs strengthen liquidity, right? If I can put my money somewhere and I can make 10% on it in a week, you're probably going to be incentivized to do that. And so the more opportunities, the more LPs are incentivized to go put their money there to provide that liquidity, right? So that's where Hooker is very, very interesting. This is a primitive that would reshape crypto completely and liquidity pools as we know them. Because right now we know liquidity pools for one function, and that's swapping in and out. I exchanged my Ethereum for Hooker, or I exchanged my Hooker for Ethereum. One function. How can we flip that on its head and say, well, we have these pools of money, and we have people that are also interested in putting more money into these pools. How can we make the liquidity pool, native liquidity pool, a bank where it does everything? Allows us to go leverage long, allows us to borrow, allows us to lend. And that's what Hooker's solving for. So what the next steps are here are audits. Okay, this has to go through auditing phases, make sure it's stress tested, make sure the risk engine works. Because as soon as it fails, right, if I am Sandy and I go 2x long leverage and the risk engine and the Oracle glitch out and it doesn't register the price right or something, and I lose that money, that results in the LPs losing. You can't have that. You can't have the liquidity providers losing in any case here. In any case, they cannot lose. So the risk engines need to be pretty robust and thought out. And right now they're in this auditing phase. So this is where we stand. It's a theoretical play. In theory, it sounds great. Likelihood of it working and functioning as intended, it's very difficult to do. If they can pull it off, it's a brand new primitive and you're super early. So that's what I think about Hooker. That's my thesis. And, I love that you guys are front running me live on stream here. But yeah, it's in a great buy zone. It's 445K. What's the trade here? Can you sell that story? The story I just told you of all native liquidity pools becoming a bank. They're independent bank, which attracts more liquidity providers to grow this liquidity pool, strengthening liquidity. If all liquidity pools were a bank, would that be valuable in crypto? Yes, is the answer. So that's the storyline, a narrative you can sell. Where this also becomes interesting is now as a launch pad, do we have people launching using this primitive? And actually, I don't even think that's the answer. People aren't going to just launch on your launch pad using this primitive. You need to go to pre-existing protocols or launches like pawns, big ones, big popular tokens, and put this offering on top of it. You need to stack it. So I actually think Hooker shouldn't focus on being a launch pad. They should focus on bringing this primitive to life. And of course, a native launch pad will build that into the system, maybe more seamlessly, more robust, but start where the people are, start where the traders are. And that's CashCat, pawns. Okay. How is a CashCat liquidity provider? Can I earn extra yield on my liquidity I'm providing? Can we offer this feature on top of CashCat? That seems to be undecided yet. So this is being explored. It's cool. So I like Hooker. Bucket, I'm not familiar with. TLDR on that for me, Nicholas. TLDR on Bucket for me. Okay. It looks like it's been out for a little while. 6 days. I'm loving these, by the way. This is bread and butter right here. Robinhood tokens that have been out for like 6 to 30 days, like a week to a month pretty much, are like perfect position right now where they're kind of on dips, but if they're like infrastructure plugin that's actually valuable to the longevity of the chain, really great. I think it's great dip buying season for a lot of those. So I like this chart off the rip. No clue what it does. Bucket shop. Hold it, own it, get paid in stocks. A 3% ETH fee on every bucket swap funds real automatic distribution. Yeah. No staking, no claim, no discretionary manager, just an on-chain fee hook. I mean, it's a V4 hook. No, I don't love this. I just think it's a recycled narrative. It's a recycled narrative. All it is you're swapping it. Yeah, it's a volume play, right? It's like any of these other things. The more volume it gets, the more fees it generates, and the more fees it generates get distributed to holders in the form of Apple, SpaceX, Nvidia, Palantir, Tesla, whatever. It's just it's unoriginal is the only thing. In this case, it's 3%. In some cases, it's 5%. In some cases, it's 1%. What it comes down to is the belief in this protocol being sustainable. They need to do something else other than just distributing because of fees, right? They take fees. All they're doing is taking the fees from trading volume, and they're giving it back to holders in the form of RWAs. Okay, it's cool, but like we have a lot of people doing that. So probably a no, not very interested in Bucket. Now, if the protocol is doing something else that's novel, that somehow kind of adds to, why should I hold this token longer? Why are volumes going to be persistent? Because we know volumes die over time. That's the reality of a lot of these. Like, it's cool while it lasts, and you have some dividends, and dividends probably aren't even very meaningful because the market probably reprices too fast to make them meaningful based on your pro rata shares. Yeah, and the issue with all these is volume stops at some point. Like, it launches, it's cool, it's exciting. You got $1 million of volume the first day, 150K the second day, 30,000 the next day, 20,000, 10,000, 10,000, and then the money dries up and the music stops. Game's over. That's the issue with those. So probably fade that puppy. Let's do a little check-in on where we're at. Stock is bouncing. Damn it. Give me my dip, boy. Give me my dip. This is one I'm looking to buy. Pawns is continuing to dip again because there was like a pause on their V1 of the exchange. Perfect. It's honestly healthy dip. Give me a dip. I'll add more to my position. Delta looks like it's on a dip. Again, you guys know I love Delta. I think the team behind this is dope. Big market opportunity if they can crack it, though I do know there's other people trying to compete in it now, so we'll see. Everything else across the board is kind of on a dip. Bo, unfortunately, on a dip. I guess the big question here is they're doing something really cool. Big question is like, is it a legitimate team behind it, or are these guys just building something that sounds cool and in reality they're LARPing? Knew it. We talked about. I'm actually taking this off my watch list because I'm not super interested in it. Unless we see some meaningful like influencers, someone with influence launch. That's all I really got, guys. We talked about EtherFi. There's one more tweet from Era who, and this is another thing, guys. I'm starting to see these ETH OGs come back to the space. But Bear says, today I have 6 figures in ETHFi. That too, after I had moved 10% already. I generally avoid tokens that have already pumped a bit. Even if they're going much higher, I don't FOMO. However, I genuinely think buying EtherFi for the long term is going to be a very good ROI. And this area seems nice. It's down 94% from all-time highs of $8 and up 65% from the bottom. After today's update, EtherFi is moving into the direction of real neobank. It's evolving from being only a crypto card app to a full banking offering. So yeah, we're trading at 25x earnings, but I do think like the growth side is nice on this, and you're kind of buying a leader. Back in the day, EtherFi announced buybacks, but those were halted for I don't know what reason. However, today's update brings back buybacks, currently 1.3 million a month. Lit has a similar buyback and trades at $2 billion. EtherFi trades at 400 million. Yeah, I mean, but Lighter's also much, definitely a growth play as well. But yeah, it's a fair comparison. In case you missed it, the token trades at 5 to 7 back in the day, going to the. Yeah. No, I actually like EtherFi. It's just a question of like, where can capital best be used? And like, I don't have unlimited capital. Does EtherFi make that cut? I don't know. I think it's trading. I think it's, if it got on a dip, if it went on a dip from here, which I probably actually think it will, I would buy in if those earnings compress and growth continues to be above, 5 to 10% month over month. And yeah, they do kind of go towards this neobank thing. So for me to buy EtherFi, I would need price to drop first and foremost. Give me a 1 to 20 price to earnings ratio and show me consistent growth and show me that this neobank pivot per se is positive. And I don't think there's a lot of people paying attention. It's very easy to trade in crypto right now because no one's paying attention to anything. So like you don't really have to be aggressive with it. You can completely sit on scenarios like this where it's like, if this happens, then I'll do this, rather than like front running something already at a premium. So I like the EtherFi trade. Lower. I like the EtherFi trade. So, but yeah, neobank and cards are huge, and this is the leader. So I like the notion of like buying the leader. It has an on-chain option. There's like value accrual to the token. I saw a little cool tweet from Adam. Trading is moving both on-chain and increasingly cross-chain. To get complete picture, we need a unified view of our trading terminals and their volume across every chain. I've begun here. I mean, yeah, you see BullX, PumpPad, FOMO, BankerBot, Photon, Axiom. Goes back to my thesis, bro. Like this fragmentation of these trading terminals is insane. And you as a person are the value. Like these trading terminals are nothing without you as a trader, or you and your theses. And distribution is so valuable. Like, who's creating the bridge? Who's creating the bridge where? And I can even take this off. Look at that, dude. I hate this. This happens to my hair, dude, because I wear a headset all day and I have this freaking lump in the middle of my hair. Yeah, so I'm saying this terminal fragmentation is crazy, to be honest. And who's going to create basically the bridge between all the terminals to where I can post in one place and maybe it distributes to all the terminals, but I'm getting paid for these volumes that I'm driving. Because like it is like I'm making whatever. If I went and traded with any of these terminals, I'm making them money. Especially if I'm like talking about the terminal I'm trading on, chilling these reps. Like if I went and trade with FOMO right now, undeniably, as soon as I put out a thesis or tweet or trade, like I'm making them money. It's valuable for me to be on their terminal as like a influencer KOL. I know it sounds retarded to say, but I guess it's the reality of things these days. I mean, yesterday I put out a cryptic tweet talking about talking about Delta. That's why I can't hard shill something at 600K market cap, but Delta was trading at 530K, and I'm like, hey man, the Meteora of Robinhood looks good here, or some shit like that. Without putting the ticker or anything, this pumped to, 100% off that tweet. You should have seen my DMs. I had some very nice people in my DMs. Pumped 155%. I don't like the culture of me causing pumps, but it's the reality of things. I can go as basic as I want. I could have bad worked this hard and, put the ticker out there, gave it a full thesis, and this pumps, to 3 million. But the reality is I'm bringing that volume and individuals are bringing that volume. And so these trading terminals would find it very valuable for thesis-driven posts to be a thing and to pay people that are going to bring these theses to life. And so you should be. So Adam makes an interesting point. Someone's got to solve for this fragmentation issue. I would love to be a part of it. With that said, boys, I think we're good here. I got this CoreWeave position printing on the short. By printing, I mean I'm up $1.20 on a $94 position. 10x leverage. Oh no. So shout out Joe funding up the wallet with this. I'm going to trade. I'm going to play around with it. Why not? Why not? And yeah, test out the platform. And maybe maybe give away the money. I don't care to keep $100. That was a gift. So, what's going on? All right. I can't see my position anymore. I don't know why. Nonetheless, guys, I think that's the stream today. You let me know, man. I think we covered a lot. I think we really got down to brass tacks, covered some good dips that you guys should be looking at, had some great interviews, covered like state of on-chain, general direction, thesis, all that good stuff. So it is storming outside too. I'm gonna call it there, boys. You let me know. Anything last minute you want to talk about real quick? Otherwise, as always, I just want to thank our sponsors, MetaDAO, for keeping this show on the road. It definitely is a great place to trade. We talked about Credible today, and I think it's very clear. No explanation needed on why it's as a trader very valuable. Appreciate you guys watching on YouTube. Appreciate all those that tuned in from X today. Appreciate you guys that were in the chat. Like the chat makes it, when the chat is active, it makes it so much easier to just bounce stuff off and riff. It definitely makes me want to stay a lot longer when the chat's going crazy. So with that being said, I'll just kind of circle us back here. Schedule announcement for next week is going to be coming out on Sunday evening. As always, we have a really good week coming up. So tap in. If you don't already, follow the MCG Live Twitter account. Okay. We just hit 14K. Shout out the gang, bro. We appreciate you guys. MCG is turned into a very prominent crypto media business now. And we're not corporate sellouts. We're not going to be corporate sellouts. We're going to stay talking about what's relevant and important. We're going to stay putting out good content. We want to upgrade this, make it better every day. So you guys give us your recommendations. If you're not in the Discord, we will get you in the Discord. Just give us some activity in the chat, support, make good calls, provide value, and we'll get you in the Discord. With that said, make sure you're following MCG Live. Make sure if you didn't already, like and retweet this stream instance so people can go back and watch it. We'll have the full stuff coming out next week, the 18th. My content lead comes back so we can start getting a better flow of things. Of course, my team's great and the Clippers I have are great, but it also always helps when our content leads fully locked in. So next week, content's gonna be coming flowing a little bit stronger, but it's been good. Y'all boys, peace out. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked in. This is printing season. Like right now is printing season. Markets have not been better on chain for the last year. They're really good right now. And they're resilient, right? They're resilient in general to, Bitcoin and the broader market being down on the day and whatnot. So, yeah. Last thing I'll say, I'll check in on this Dell position because I can't do it on chain. But the thesis was this probably fades into, during Asian session. Probably fades off during Asian session. I have not been keeping up with Dell, so this wouldn't be like my wheelhouse. But this is how the markets move. We got the pump out of New York. I would not trade against the trend, but we're at all-time highs. I assume this fades off here during the Asian sessions and maybe gets a reversal during London or New York. So that's the trade there. That's what I'm taking here on BlockSwap. Although my account is this a first account? Is this the first account he sent $100 to? I don't know. Either way, I'm short Dell. I'm short Dell on BlockSwap. We'll see how it goes. Guys, remember, comment under this post. He's giving away BlockSwap tokens or topping you off or something to go use the account. So comment under this post. Let him know you saw the live stream. And I'll catch you guys. That being said, stay blessed. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.